Friday morning, October the 22nd. We've got another Friday live stream for you here where we're going to cover the last 5 races from Keeneland. We're going to preview the last 5 races from Santa Anita. We're going to try to make you some money out there. We're going to share some opinions here. Darren Zocali and Barry Spears are going to be with me. Andrew Champagne checks in right now. We're going to have Brie Mott checking in just a few minutes. We are going to talk a little stable duel. We're going to talk a little Twin Spires. We're going to show you some of those daily racing formulator past performances while we check in with each and every race, show you some of those horses and why we like them. We're going to talk about some of the other sponsors and the companies who have helped me with That's What G Said podcast. And we're very happy that you're joining us out there. Now, this live stream is free, but we want to give some money away to you. So if you're watching this on Twitter, if you're following It's Me, Gino B, just like the stream, retweet the stream, make sure you're following me. At the end of this, we're going to pick 3 of you. And those 3 people can pick any horse they want on the card today at Keeneland or at Santa Anita. We're going to put a $20 win wager on there for you. Hopefully you can turn that 20 into a couple hundred. So just pay attention. You can start right now, like, retweet, follow anytime throughout the live stream. We'll usually go for about 90 minutes or so as we hit both of those tracks. And we get you set up for Friday. We want to welcome in Andrew Champagne. Andrew has a normal life like most normal adults where he has to go to work and go to an office in a few minutes. So Andrew checks in with us at the very beginning where he can share a best bet or two. Andrew, buddy, how you doing today?
I'm doing really well, thanks. I really appreciate the fact that Darren got the orange memo. Gino, Barry, I don't know what
we
your
didn't get the text, Barry. Sorry.
Hey, man, sorry. Got to go with Mamba today. Black Mamba.
We could have been – I could just cover up, and then we're black and orange, and we're just Halloween right
that
here.
Works.
You know what I mean? Like
that works.
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
I am all for some spooky fun and Halloween wordplay this early in the morning. Got to get the brain firing ahead of a nice long work day. And I don't know if you guys can hear it behind me, but it is absolutely monsooning here in Northern California. Shout out to Golden Gate Fields with their opening day today, and a really good card tomorrow, by the way, before we go much further. If you haven't looked at that, you really should. It's a good card, but plan accordingly if you're handicapping either racing or sports in Northern California.
Rain will be coming, so keep an eye on that. But Andrew's going to give us a couple plays today, one at Keeneland, one at Santa Anita, and Andrew will talk about some of the content that he has out there, which is always really great stuff, weekly show, podcasts, all sorts of written stuff. So, Andrew, where do you want to head today over at Keeneland? What was something that jumped out at you?
So I'm going to get in trouble with one other person on this show because my best bet of the day comes in the 10th and final at Keeneland. And someone on this panel has a horse in that race that I am going against. So
you make it sound like my horse is going to be 4 to 5.
I know I was going to say, you're like, I'm beating Darren's horse.
Listen, I forgive you because you did not know we were getting in off the also eligible list. Had you known that, things would be different.
Then it's different.
I appreciate that very much. But my best bet of the day at Keeneland is not the 5 Lucy's Cakes Fly, who I think is going to go favorite. It's not that I don't think she's legitimate, but I really like the horse to her outside. That's number 6, Ollie's Gold. And after a couple of scratches especially, I think she is absolutely the horse to catch in this particular spot. There are a number of things that I really like about this horse. For one, I thought she ran very well last time out at Kentucky Downs. Now, over the past couple of years, fractions have gotten a lot quicker at Kentucky Downs. There are a number of varying reasons for this that we won't go into because it would take the whole 90 minutes. But I like the fact that she stayed on a little bit after a 22-2 opening quarter, a 45-3 half, and you see there that the 4th place finisher has since come back to win. I think Ollie's Gold is going to go early, and I think she's going to get very comfortable on the front end. Another thing that I really like is if you look at the buyer speed figures, this is a horse that certainly appears to be on the upswing. Just looking at the last 4 figures, you see a 45 in the first start against Winners. Then you see a 56, then a 68, then a 77. Now, speed figures are a tool. They're not everything, but I love seeing a horse that is trending the right way at a logical time. This is late in her 3-year-old year. It makes sense that she's getting better. Florent Giroux lands here when he likely had plenty of options. and Ollie's Gold is 6-1 on the morning line. I think we'll get something reasonably close to that. Anything above 4-1, 9-2, I think would absolutely be fair. Give me Ollie's Gold in the 10th and final at Keeneland as a wire-to-wire threat at a little bit of a price.
Ollie's Gold for Andrew Champagne. So mark it down. Race number 10 for Andrew, Ollie's Gold. And
Darren, you can run second.
Nope.
$43,000 purse. I'll take a quick 8,000-9,000.
I was gonna say, you won't mind. And then after that, you can buy me and Barry some orange clothing and send it over our way after you get
there you go.
So
you clearly don't know the way horse racing bills work if you think I'm
So we head from Keeneland over to Santa Anita. I know that Andrew said he's also got one for us to play over at Santa Anita. So Andrew, who's the play at Santa Anita today?
So we're going to go to the last and final at Santa Anita as well. And this was a card that I struggled a little bit with, but
I got to be honest. Yeah, it's not. I mean, the last two Santa Anita cards we've gone through have been really solid. This week, It's not the biggest fields in the world, and it's a struggle. There are some heavy chalk late in the card. Yes,
but having said that, in the 8th race, I think the 2-1 chalk is very, very beatable.
I'm glad to hear you say that because the other races, they don't look that beatable.
Yeah. Number 5, Brittle and You is the 2-1 favorite there. And this is a horse that is winless over the last year and a half. And if you look at the odds, this horse, I think, is just a money burner. Has run well, is a fun horse to own. These are the horses, Darren, that you'd really love owning because they're going to get you a check more often than not. They're not going to burn through their conditions. It's an ATM from an owner's perspective. From a betting perspective, I hate this horse. Absolutely hate her. And if she wins, she beats me doing it. However, I much prefer the likely second choice, and that's number 3, Paul Cinella, who, since stretching out to 2 turns, has not run a bad race. You look at the last 4 races, you see a win and 3 seconds. Now, the last start was at Golden Gate. It was the first start against winners, but she was rating pretty far back behind a pace that wasn't all that fast. Golden Gate paces are often pretty slow compared to those on the main track. I like the fact that she comes back to conventional dirt in this one for Jonathan Wong, who, as we all know, wins a lot of races. I like the fact that she's adding blinkers. That's a 32% move for Mr. Wong. I think she'll be a little bit closer early on than she has been in the past. And to give you an idea how much I don't like this favorite, I don't think she even runs second. Give me an ice cold exacta. Hi, Dave Weaver. How you doing? 3-4 with Naughty Evelyn, who makes the first start against winners and certainly looks like one of the main speeds in this particular race. I just think there's a lot of money to be made betting against a horse that has proven to be a money burner. And if Brittle and You steps up today, I'll tip my cap and move on. Gino, Darren, Barry, to me, this just looks like a favorite you have to try to beat.
Yeah, I am going to be on the same page with you in that spot because I'm going to probably be using the exact same horses, I think, too. I think I'm going to use the 3 and the 4 trying to take a shot against the 5 that you mentioned right there. So Brittle and You will be the one to beat, the one they'll probably all have to hold off. But we're talking about a horse with, that doesn't like to win a lot and very capable barn, but they're struggling. They haven't won a lot of races this year, plain and simple. So do you want to take a short price for a barn who isn't really going all that well right now with a horse whose running style and profile may not fit all that well in the race? Right? There are a few things at a short price to want to play against in Santa Anita's 8th race today. The number 3, Paul Cinella. So one more time, just to remind you, for Andrew, Keeneland, race number 10, you've got Ollie's Gold, and Santa Anita, race number 8, you've got Paul Cinella. Andrew, before we have you get out of here, let us know what's going on right now with AndrewChampagne.com. Tell us about Champagne and JD. Anything else you've got cooking?
Well, Champagne and JD this week is a fun episode. We had Matt Dinnerman on. As I've mentioned, it's opening week at Golden Gate Fields, but he also talked a lot about a really cool thing that the folks at the Stronach Group are doing today. It's the Charity Handicapping Challenge to benefit the Grayson Jockey Club Research Fund. There's been a lot of trash talk on Twitter, and look, horse racing Twitter can be a cesspool sometimes. That has been a highlight over the last couple of days, seeing a lot of really sharp handicappers and really good people just going at one another with some of the most vicious trash talk I have ever seen. If you do not follow Pete Aiello, you're doing Twitter wrong. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. But good luck to everybody participating in that. JD and I also took a look at Saturday's Late Pick 4 at Golden Gate, which is a very good sequence, really. If you're looking at Saturday races, take a look at Golden Gate in the afternoon after Keeneland is done. You're not going to be disappointed. It's going to be a really fun card to take a look at. I'm actually going to be there. My dad is flying into Northern California tonight and single-handedly ending California's drought. If you look at that. He's taking credit for that one. We were mulling over a quick trip to Lake Tahoe for Sunday's football games, but if it's raining here, it's snowing up in the mountains. So we're not gonna do that. We're gonna be lame and stay home and watch Red Zone, I think. But a lot of stuff going on. AndrewChampagne.com is where you can find my written stuff. On YouTube, go search Champagne and JD for the weekly show. Breeders' Cup coming up in 2 weeks, so we're getting amped up for that. A lot of cool stuff going on, and stuff that you're not going to want to miss as far as contributions from yours truly on any number of platforms. So that's where you can find me. Twitter is at Andrew Champagne as well.
Andrew, buddy, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. You have a great Friday, and good luck with your wagers. We'll talk to you again real soon. Best of luck.
Thanks very much, guys. Appreciate it. Take it easy.
Andrew Champagne right there. We go from Andrew and we bring in our next guest. Before we get into the full handicapping of the card, we have to talk about some of the big events happening today and this weekend with Stable Duel. So Brie Mott joins us. Brie, how you doing today?
Good. What's up, guys? Good to see y'all.
Good. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the Stable Duel website right now, and we're going to talk about the new players deposit match bonus, which is something that you're really excited about over at Stable Duel. It's something that we really want to talk a little bit about. So tell us a little bit about the new promotion that's happening, and I'm going to pull it up right now if I can get this technology working.
Yeah, so from here until Sunday, if you have not downloaded or signed up for an account at Stable Duel, we will match your deposit play up to $15. So you've got to deposit it, obviously, but then you have to play it in a game. So you can play any of the games, but if it's cumulative for this weekend, up to $, we're going to credit you $15. So pretty much we're kind of either giving you a free game or we're giving you a free second chance if you're first stables.
And what it looks like, Brie, is that if you're like checking out the schedule, which you can check out on StableDuel.com too, there are a lot of games all throughout the week that are in that lower range. So basically, you guys have kind of lowered some of the limits of the games to give people those free games all throughout the weekend.
We were kind of beefing it up a little bit too much and not offering some lower price games. So we've got $2 games, we have $3 games. We still have our free rides, which you can do up to 3 stables. But the $10 and the $15, I actually think are some of the best games to play. Usually you have around 100 stables right now in those. So it's kind of cool to see a lot of, stables that that you want to compete next to, and then stables that and you definitely want to beat. Those are good games, but definitely, and we're going to put a blog out, thanks to Gino, of really how you can make some good money at Stable Duel. The higher dollar games, that's how you make the most money because the pools are a little bit shorter in respect to who you got to beat against. So take a look if you're playing for the first time this weekend, especially Keeneland games. If you play that $10, $15 game, look at the higher price games and what your points could have done. I mean, you might be kicking yourself afterwards, but what your points could have done in those higher price games.
Right?
Yeah.
The free ones are like everyone will see the free ones and you'll put an entry in, but if you put the time to put an entry together, put it in those big money ones because you're going to kick yourself when you look up and you go, oh my gosh, my score is way higher than that. I already did all the work. So I might as well.
And something in the free games, like people are like, man, I finished in, 106 plays. Well, understand you're up against like 400 freaking people. You're not up against 400 people in the paid game. So like, don't get discouraged by placing. Like compare the, the points from your game to the other games. And I know if you're not in it, you can't see it. We post a lot of it on Twitter, so you can see kind of like the top 10. Or if you follow people's stables, you can click on their player profile and you can see if they played in that game, the top 10 in each game that they played in. So that's just kind of a way around seeing some of the leaderboards that you missed because you didn't play in the game.
We're looking at the schedule right now for this weekend. So on Friday, we've got 6 tracks, 9 contests, games ranging from $10 all the way up to $200. We're talking Charlestown, Gulfstream, Keeneland, Penn National, Santa Anita, Laurel Park for their big day. Also, games all over the place. And this is what we've seen Stable Duel grow over the last couple of years. This list used to be 1 or 2 tracks, maybe on the weekends. Now
one game per track. Yeah.
One game, maybe like a $10 or $15 game in there. Now, whatever your style of play is, whatever your bankroll is, I think you have to check in here every day. And that's sort of like you were talking about the blog that I was kind of helping out with. That'll be coming out. It's you can just check in with this Stable Duel app every day and find a couple ways where, like, just by being active, you will make money. Because there will be some days where there's some contests that for just whatever reason, they're sleepy contests, people just haven't got into. They were early in the morning, whatever reason. And there's guarantees in those pools where you don't have to beat a whole bunch of other people, right? You can have a day at the track where, dang, I had a really good day, but I was 4 out of 5 in that pick 5. And the one race I missed cost me thousands. Then it's Stable Duel. You can go 0 for 5, but all 5 of your horses run really well. They all run second, and you could win that game.
And shout out to Sack Shoes on Twitter, because here's a perfect example. So she has played a fair amount, and she's a good capper herself, but she didn't really tread into the bigger dollar games until I guess I want to say it was Thursday or maybe Wednesday. She did the $100 Keeneland game. She got 3rd place. Okay, 3rd place. She didn't win, and she won $400. So like even 3rd place, you are getting 4x your entry here, especially in the higher dollar games, because again, you're not up against 1,000 people. You're not up against, 12 horses for 5 legs, where you just lose in case your horse got nosed out. Like I had one player, he's like, it doesn't make sense for me to do $100 when, I'm only winning 3,000, which whatever. But the thing is, it's like, you're not against 6 races, 12 horses in each race. And like anything can happen and you're out. You're literally playing a entire card. Your ending points just have to be better than some of the other stables. And, you can cash. A lot of the games, we pay out the top 20%. You'll see on the schedule here, like if it says top 2, obviously it's the 1st and the 2nd place. And those are for the players that, just want to win a little bit more. But where it says $500 guarantee, like that grows. The more stables that are in that, it grows. And so, the guarantee grows and therefore your prizes grow. So it's just a lot of different contests. And to Gino's point, like keep an eye out and see how many stables are in there. Find an overlay, or, you can do multiple entries. And
find one that's kind of small entries. Right. And then, okay, you got an hour now. Go build a couple lineups, because in that double up or triple up, you are going to have a huge advantage. All you're going to have to do is beat a couple other people. Yeah. It's not like millions of other people you're playing against. It's not like some of the DFS sites where there are a bunch of computerized or robot entries where like someone's got 50,000 entries themselves. You're literally just playing against other people where you can actually have an advantage to win those contests when it's your day.
Yep, absolutely. And to the doubles and the triples up, the double ups, we pay the top 40% of the pool doubles their money. So 40%, that's almost half. I know that some people are like, duh, but just put this into your perspective. That's almost half of the leaderboard that gets double their money. And then in the triple ups, you're getting 26% doubles or triples their money, excuse me. So those are really good way. We call them bank builder games. They're good ways to like build your bank for the weekend and then hit those $100 contests where the winning pot is $6,000 or $5,000. And, and I'm sure if you guys have sat here and watched, and Gino, and I know Barry, you all can say it's a lot of fun to be in these games. Kind of going back and forth with people, but also like to supplement your regular handicapping. Like Absolutely. This is something, it's like a set it and forget it, not really forget it, but you know what I mean? You set it up and then you can still go, you can watch the money move, you can see how the track is playing. and then you can still do your wins, your places, your pick six and whatever. But this is something like that's social. It's fun. It's a low risk if you ask me. And high payout for a lot of them. So
Saturday, a couple big games, Maryland Millions, $50 entry, $1,500 prize pool at Keeneland. There is a $200 game with a $10,000 prize pool. On Saturday this weekend at Keeneland, there are 4 different options for you. Then on Santa Anita, there are 2 different options for you. On That's What G Said podcast, we're going to go over some of the races from Keeneland and Santa Anita so we can help you out there. And Brie, before we let you go, we know that Keeneland is such a big partner for Stable Duel. They're always so excited, and you guys do such a great job over there. And Santa Anita, you have been having a lot of contests there. What can we look forward to coming up over the next couple months, sort of towards the end of the year? Who are some of the tracks or some of the things that we can maybe get a little peek at?
Yeah, I think we're still kind of working, but we're hopefully going to boost some big pools. Like we've had $20,000 games. Nice. We're going to hope to have some more 20,000, and we might even go bigger than that. But yeah, I mean, it's always interesting kind of going into the winter because it's kind of like a Gulfstream focus, right? But that did really well for us last year, and I think we're excited to have it again. Santa Anita is great. Del Mar is fall. When is Del Mar's fall?
Yeah, they start 2 weeks. As soon as Santa Anita is done, they pick up. They run from November till about the middle of December, and then back to Santa Anita for the day after Christmas. Yep.
So we'll have Del Mar. I'm hoping to do a little bit more with Golden Gate. We have Golden Gate as well, but the small tracks have been such a fun deal for us. We actually partnered with a boutique ADW, we'll say, and we found that our players increase their wagering at these small tracks by like 30%. So, to anybody that's listening and thinks that we take money away from the industry or tracks, like we put it in more than one time because our games pay the tracks and the horsemen, but also we just create new players at tracks all over the U.S. And then stay tuned for hopefully January 2022 where we're international. So
awesome. We can't wait. Anytime there's anything big happening with Stable Duel, you're going to hear about it on That's What G Said. You'll hear about it from me. If you follow me, it's me, Gino B, on Twitter. And make sure to follow Stable Duel for everything happening and for everything coming up. Brie, I know you're really busy. Thank you so much for checking in. It's always nice to talk to you for a few. And we're going to help everyone set their lineups up for Friday for both Keeneland and for Santa Anita.
I'm going to Keeneland, so nice. I need you guys to tell me, what your big convictions are. So I expect text messages from at least Barry, at least Gino,
no problem.
YouTube DZ.
Okay, cool. Throw us on in the background while you're getting ready, and we'll lead you in the right direction. You have an awesome day out there. Thank you so much, Brie. We'll talk soon. As Brie Mott checking in from over at Stable Duel. Now we're going to get to the handicapping in just a moment. But before we do, want to mention that Darren works over for Twin Spires. And hey, anytime that you can get a few extra bucks when you're playing the races, take advantage, right? I'm talking about on this live stream. If you're watching right now, just stop for a second, like the tweet, retweet it. At the end, I'm going to pick 3 people out of the 20, 30, whoever retweet, and one of them is going to be you. You could turn that $20 into a couple hundred. DZ is going to help us today. Maybe get a little bit of a bonus with some of our wagers. So, Darren, how do we do that today with Twin Spires?
Yeah, so today at Twin Spires, we have a bet back promo at Keeneland, which is fantastic. We've been with them all meet long. You just go to twinspires.com, you go to offers, click on my offers, and click on this bet back for Keeneland, second and third. Click on that claim now button. And obviously, you need to be logged in order to, get that. There you go. We got Gino's username, everybody.
There we go. Now you guys can here we go. Hey, I'm going to have to change it if the Dodgers don't win this weekend, though. So
I was going to say, no surprise that it says Dodgers.
Yeah,
I was going to say. So there we go.
Today, races 2, 6, and 8 are covered by the bet back promo. So if your horse runs second or third in the selected race, you'll get your money back up to a $10 wager. So it's that simple. If you think the favorite's going to win, go right ahead. If you take an approach like I do, where you try to find value, where you feel, all right, well, we'll take a shot on the win end, but maybe if the horse, gets beat by the chalk or still runs second or third, I get my money back. You could take that approach too. But you get a little bit insurance on your Keeneland bet back today, races 2, 6, and 8, and we're doing it all weekend long. Tomorrow we have races 7 and 9, and Sunday we haven't picked out the races yet, but we'll be there too. So just check in with us every single day of the Keeneland meet as we have this bet back promo going all fall meet long.
Great stuff there. Just claim. That's all. Opt in on these things. It doesn't take much. That's all you have to do, and then you're gonna get a few extra bucks sent back. It's cool when you kind of do, and then you forget, and then you get that little alert that's like, oh, I got a credit in there. Like, hey, it's funny. You feel like that 5 or 10 is like $1 million, right? When it comes back, it feels like it does. It's so funny. Nothing greater than that found money there when you're not expecting it. As we are going to move along now, and we're going to start talking about this card today at Keeneland. So let's jump into race number 6 right off the bat. And I was looking at the weather. I think it's supposed to be sort of cold, but it didn't look like a lot of rain out there today at Keeneland. So just something to monitor and keep an eye on always. And we will check in with Darren when we finish talking about Keeneland, because it'll be a good little kind of segue as we finish up the card. Darren and Thorough Crowd have a horse in the 10th at Keeneland. So after that 10th race, he can tell us a little bit about some of the cool things happening with Thorough Crowd and how you can kind of get involved with them and have some fun there. But Barry is going to have some fun in race number 6 at Keeneland today. And how are we going to do that, Barry? Where are we starting in this 6th race? Let's get those DRF PPs pulled up.
Yeah, man. This is a really nice race to kind of kick off what we're doing here today. It seems like the class of the race and the speed is towards the outside with the 11 and 12 with Maiden and Karatari. Yep. And they seem to stand out a little bit here as far as the speed goes, but I think Karatari is actually the speed of the speed, and I just think that horse is going to run these off their feet. The horse I originally liked actually was Boldor, but the whole meet it just seems like on the grass it's just so difficult to close. And I really like this horse, on a fair strip, but it just seems like the strip there is just very, very speed favoring. I don't know whether it's the way they cut the grass or what have you. Just it's been difficult for horses to close, but that's looking for a cold exacta there with Karatari and Boldor.
Yeah, Karatari, I like a lot as a horse. He got me a couple times this year. At Sam Houston early in the year, I had him singled when he just got beat by Fast Boat. And then the one that got me was at Saratoga in the Troy when he was like 23-1 and he opened up a couple and just got – it still hurts. It still hurts right now thinking about it. But he does feel like I think he's the one to beat in here just because, like you said, he might naturally be as quick as Maiden, but I think
he's quicker.
Yeah, he might be quicker. And I wouldn't be shocked if he lets Maiden go and then just presses him right to his hip, just sits right off of him. That's kind of the trip that he does pretty well. I do think he is no doubt a must-use in here for me. I much prefer Karatari actually to Maiden because I think Maiden's a little bit more sort of one-dimensional. He's got to clear, whereas I feel like Karatari can kind of track a little bit if he had to. He had a good start, and then it was weird. He took back a little bit, and then he got shuffled. He was in between horses. He got crossed over on, and it was like that in-between trip where you don't decide to go, but you're not really sitting, so you didn't really just make a decision. That was my problem there with Karatari. So I'll use him in a lot of exotics. One horse who's a little interesting to me too is the one right next to him, Johnny Unleashed, who I'll mention, who is not a bad price at all at 10-1 on the morning line. We actually see that Johnny Unleashed was not too far behind Karatari when they hooked up earlier this year in June at Churchill Downs when, just finishing behind him behind the very, very sharp Just Might. You also see that Johnny Unleashed last time out at Keeneland didn't run all that poorly behind Golden Pal in that race, in the grade 2 Woodford. So those are a couple horses to mention as we take a look at the chart for Johnny Unleashed. DZ, let's get over to you and mention a couple of horses who are on your radar for this 6th race.
Yeah, I think obviously the outcome of this race just comes down to the pace dynamics. What happens with these outside horses? We've seen over the last couple of days where Wesley Ward's turf sprinters have just been absolutely sensational. One the other, obviously Golden Powell was fantastic. The other day, just yesterday, a horse ran them off their feet in an entry-level allowance. Maven's going to try to do the same thing. And if you're playing against Maiden, you really need these outside horses like Johnny Unleashed, like Karatari, to go out there and push the envelope early. I do like a horse that Barry mentioned originally in Boldor. I just think if these horses from the outside go, if things do get a little bit Western, as my old friend, the late great Sam McKee used to say, Boldor might be able to pick up the pieces with an inside-out trip. Last time from post 11 in the Laurel Dash, that was not going to work. Wide trip was 6 wide coming off the turn. Still got within a length and 3/4 of them. I know Santana is still searching for that victory. It's very, very odd that him and Asmussen can't hook up for a win. It's been a wild meet from that regard. But if they do mix things up, I do think the horse that you want to have come running is Boldor. But admittedly, I do think this race does go through the outside runners. The other one that I'll mention briefly, who's probably going to sit a good trip mid-pack, and I'm not sure if he's good enough to win, but the price should be good enough to spice up some exotics, is Bad Beat Brian, number 8. He's in very good form right now. His Del Mar form was solid. He shipped over to Kentucky Downs and ran a very good second, prompting the pace going 6.5 in a start of 25,000 last time out. I like the cutback from 6.5 back to 5.5. I like the fact that the horse has that race over the course, which undoubtedly definitely has this horse more fit probably coming out than he did going in. He's working well in preparation for it. That 47-second move on October 9th indicates that all systems are go for Maker. This horse is kind of sneaky, lying in the weeds, that if he gets the absolute perfect setup, maybe things can work out. Again, I don't know if he's good enough to win, but he's going to be somewhere 8, 9, 10 to 1. And I think he's a horse that you could definitely work into your exotics.
The horse that I kind of feel like that a little bit about is the horse right next door, Holiday Stone, who, so I think if you look at Holiday Stone's last race, towards the end of the race, you'll notice that Holiday Stone, who is the 7, also in the race that I'm watching right here. So top of the stretch, here comes Holiday Stone kind of moving into contention. Now, he's never going to win this race, but you'll notice as he's trying to kind of get out, when pulsates, he's trying to kind of get out, he sort of gets like kind of pinned back in a little bit here by back to his roots in behind horses. See, he kind of pins him in. Now, is he going to win the race? No, but instead of finishing 5th, he might have finished 3rd here. And it's just little things like that is that big of a deal? Well, no, but if everybody sees him finishing 3rd in the past performances versus 5th, and maybe he's a half length ahead, this horse is probably a little bit shorter price. He probably has a slightly higher buyer speed figure, just a couple small things. Now, that, I don't, it's kind of same thing as I felt with Darren. I don't know if he's good enough to win the race, but I do think if they go quickly, because those horses to the outside all hook up, the 3 of them, and, we do see Johnny Unleashed even flashing a little bit of like positional tactical.
Wait, he has to. When you look at who's around him, he has no choice.
They all 3, and that's what makes this race difficult, is that all 3 of them got to at least go to get themselves out of, keep getting a brutally wide trip. So even if they want to sit a little, they got to go early and then try to work out a trip, which is going to push it a little faster in that first quarter. So at first glance, I thought, there isn't that much speed, but when those 3 horses, because of where they're drawn, it's going to force them as much as if they were drawn to the inside. They have to go from out there. And
it's not like they're separated and spread out amongst the field. Like they're all, and even the 9 has a little bit of speed to him too.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying he has the same kind of speed as a Maven, but Ship It Red, I mean, he's making leads in 21 and 2 in Canterbury Park.
And you don't want to be dead last trying to close. All these,
so now you're in a situation where you got the 3 horses to your outside that are going, and you're on a horse with a little bit of speed. You're in a spot where you say, okay, well, I have to make sure I clear these horses to my inside. Yeah. And then if I let them go, I can get a spot. You can't take back, because if you do, you're going to be in no man's land. So you're going to have a ton of speed from the outside. If it sets things up, I think the 3 closers to have are the 1, 7, and 8. But it's really going to come down to how this pace develops. If it doesn't develop at all, it's 10, 11, 12. If it's suicidal, it's 1, 7, 8. And that's kind of how you have to build your pick 5 tickets. Yep. It's just hard to take a strong position as to which way it's going to go.
Yeah, and the question mark is which Maven shows up today.
Sure. Yeah. But he needs the lead. Yeah. If he showed us one thing, he absolutely needs the lead. He's not going to rate off a horse second. And if he's in a speed duel head to head with a horse where he's 2, 3 wide going into the turn, that's not a spot he wants to be in either. He wants to clear, get down to the rail, and go.
Well, I'm hoping he's not even in the lead.
Yeah.
I want the 11 in the lead.
And I feel like whatever, even if they go really quick, the horse who might be able to still be okay is Karatori, because he's the one that has shown a little bit of sitting off, right? If he's pressing and it, and maybe he just again like falls into it before the deep closers can come, he's got that little separation. If they're battling, I don't know if it's going to be good for Maven or for Johnny Unleashed. But I do think that of the three of them, if they were to battle, Karatori might be able to kind of battle and still hang around towards the end, because he has shown that fight in him a little bit before. So yeah, I thought a pretty cool race, like a good race to kick off our
by the way, I wish the 13, I should have realized that the horse, even though he wasn't also eligible, was never going to run because he's not based at Keeneland. But I wish Matta was in the race, because Matta would have had a shot in here.
We'll keep an eye on Matta for next time, and maybe Matta shows up somewhere where he fits as we move along to Keeneland's 7th race. Don't forget, folks, today maybe you don't have a lot of money. Maybe you're in between payday, because next week is the end of the month. So this week it's that in between week. You don't have all that cash, but you want to play a few races. You want to get a little bit of action. Stop. We'll retweet this tweet. And then we're going to pick 3 of you. You can make a win wager on any horse you want today at Keeneland or at Santa Anita. Super simple, super easy. Maybe it's a horse in race number 7 at Keeneland that strikes your fancy. As we move to maiden special weights here, we've got fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. They're going to be traveling 6 furlongs on the main track. And we have a heavy favorite in here, DZ, in the number 10, Good Night Olive, who was a runner-up on the debut at Gulfstream Park back in March. Lost to a decent horse named Mischiefful, who has come back and since has won a first-level allowance at Churchill, was 3rd and 4th in a couple $100,000 stakes over at Saratoga. So that horse has come back and performed well. And Goodnight Olive did have some legitimate trouble in that race at Gulfstream.
Yeah, look, if this horse is ready off the layoff, obviously somebody else in this field is going to need to step up huge. Yeah. Or one of these first-time starters are going to need to run a massive race first time out. Look, for me, Goodnight Olive is going to be very, very tough. Obviously, if you're starting this pick 5 sequence with, Maven or the 11, you really hate singling a 6-5 shot in this spot. Maybe I'm getting a little bit too cute here, but I could see Terra Nova being somewhat interesting to her inside. She's got 2 starts on grass. Obviously, both were off the board. She did show improved speed stretching out on the turf last time at Ellis and faded in the stretch. I always like that speed fade angle. She's now going to, cut back in distance. She's going to go turf to dirt in here for trainer Brian Williamson, who obviously does not have, very big numbers. But the dam was a stakes winner. She was an 8-time winner. And on top of that, just has the look of a horse that you probably have not seen the best of yet. Can she possibly jump up and beat Goodnight Olive? I don't know. But she's going to be 12, 13, 14 to 1. And if you're asking me to find one horse in this race that I could find an angle on, that I could possibly cling to in hopes, that's probably it, because I don't think the firsters are much in here based on what I see in pedigrees and what I see in workouts, trainer percentages first time out. But I would say Goodnight Olive is somewhere around 75% likely to win this race, which means that she should be somewhere in the neighborhood of like 2 to 5.
Barry, Goodnight Olive, the heavy favorite in here. Who are you looking at in this 7th?
Yeah, I had kind of an alternate view than Darren has on this race. I didn't actually think any of the horses other than Goodnight Olive ran particularly well. So I was looking more for first-time starters. I do think Goodnight Olive is the goods here. I don't see if she's anything like what she was unveiled with back in March, she's going to blow this field away. That being said, the 2 horses that I did key in on for a second, and I'm probably going to just absolutely try to crush this is exacta, is the 1 horse Encouraging.
Yep.
I think that horse is probably going to like it stretching out, better than the distance that she's running today, out of Candy Ride, Distorted Humor on the dam side, maybe even turf. But with all the horses that have run already, like Bama Mischief, Flashy Charge, actually hasn't run yet, but Jim's Bronze Star, they didn't really look all that great. So 15-1 on the line is probably far fetched. I don't think that's going to be the price for that horse. I think that horse is going to get bet down. But the price might be good enough here to make a decent exacta play. The other horse that caught my eye was Unbridled Twister. It's a little peculiar what's going on with that horse. Ran back in April 22nd. Didn't run that bad in an Arkansas state bred race. But shows a nice bullet work here on October 13th that really caught my eye. 23% trainer, you got to have a little bit of respect there. Crazier things have happened, so why not throw that one in there too?
Unbridled Twister with that big work, 46-1 on October the 13th at Keeneland. That is absolutely moving. I agree with you about, I mean, I think we're all in agreement that Olive is the one to beat, right? I mean, it's unfortunate. I love trying to beat horses like this that are coming off of a layoff, that earned a big figure or that had a big race in their debut. But kind of like Barry hit, of the horses who have experience, nobody excites me at all, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, the second choice in the race is 0 for 11. It's like, for Ray Handel.
And she's not even like, visually, she was very, very just, like, she was loomed up. The winner blew right by her. She's sort of just like a measuring stick kind of horse who will sort of launch up. If nobody runs a big race, she'll kind of fall into it and she could win. But I would never want to take her at like 4-1, 5-1-ish.
Listen, to be fair, the Belmont, Saratoga, maiden special weights are very tough races.
Oh, yeah.
And they're very tough. They're probably the toughest maiden special weights that you're going to find anywhere, especially at Saratoga. But the problem is that there's always a horse in the race that's better than she is. And that's just the case again today. Can she run second? Sure. But you can't take 3-1 on her against Moonlight Olive when she's going to be 0 for 11, 0 for 12.
No. And for me, so if you're looking to go elsewhere or if you're playing Olive on top of some others, Barry mentioned Encouraging. We showed you the Dam a minute ago, 3 for 9, won her first 2 starts in Southern California, a maiden special weight. And then the race, and then the following race at Betfair Hollywood Park, the other full to race, won a maiden 25 claimer. That's the one Encouraging. The number 6, Seeking the Spirits, is one I'll mention and we'll show you a little bit. Now, Seeking the Spirits is interesting because the dam of this one was actually pretty good. Spirit Seeker was a 10-time winner. It was 10 for 31, and Spirit Seeker was a stakes winner, was multiple stakes placed, has produced 3 foals to race so far, a couple multiple winners, which I like to see, and one of them, like we see here, Kirby's Penny, won the debut. So a little bit of precocity, not a bad pedigree there, and actually a pretty decent work tab. Another horse who sort of got a sneaky work on October the 17th there. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Seeking Spirits perform well. The barn, 2 for 31 with their recent first-time starters, but 0 for the last 27. Not necessarily something you think of them doing all that well, but a capable barn that when they have the right horse, they can get them ready to win. And I guess the other one for me would be the 11 to mention, the other first-time starter for Asmussen, Oscarette, who is a 3-year-old daughter of Evernice, who is going to be Evernice, who was unraced. You look at some of the siblings and the other foals of Oscarette. You got 3 of them. They were all winners, and 2 of them are multiple winners. One of them you see there, Whistle While You Mow, won the debut also. So you do get a little precocity in that pedigree. Those are just some of the things when I'm looking at, because we're looking here at the DRF past performances. We're looking at formulator PPs. I like to look at certain things like that. If a couple of them showed some precocity, that's always something that I kind of check in the box. Did they win early or maybe win in their first or second start? Showed that's something that might be in the blood. But
Gino, let's show the reason I wanted to like this filly. Let's show the reason why I take pause with her. Click on Show All Works.
Okay.
So this is a filly that they paid $210,000 for as a 2-year-old in training at the OBS sale last April of 2020. They had her moving early on in her 2-year-old season. She was working out in 47. She was down at Del Mar, 47. Bullet work. all the way through the fall, including a bullet workout on October the 21st at Santa Anita.
Exactly a year ago.
Exactly a year ago. She disappears for 10 months.
Yep.
Look at the workout since then.
Not even the same. Not
Something.
even close.
So clearly something happened to this filly after that workout.
Yep.
Now, it's good that she is coming back in a maiden special weight.
Yep.
That they're not putting her in for a claiming tag. But look at where she was last year working out compared to where she is this year. My feeling is she absolutely needs a race, and she's probably overcoming some kind of an issue that sent her to the sidelines for 10 months.
Completely different works there for the outside, or for one of the outside runners there, Oscarette. So yeah, as much as we'd all like to, I mean, we're looking at Olive here, and she ran well in the debut. She did have legitimate trouble down on the rail. She was in tight right away. She got shuffled back. She was tucked in, waiting for room. The Dam is a nine-time winner who earned $485,000. The lone sibling was also a multiple winner. So you've got a horse who showed up on the track in the debut, ran well, had legitimate trouble. Dam won that debut, like I said right there, Salty Strike. And then the lone sibling, Smile More, has also won a couple times so far. So it's just one of those things where you have good barn, you have showed up on the track first time out, you check the pedigree box also, and it's
a pick 5 sequence where there's going to be a favorite in the sequence that's going to be good. It's just going to happen. You're not going to get 5 straight races. So this just happens to be, I think we would probably all agree, the favorite in the sequence that is the most likely winner in the sequence. Yep. So
absolutely.
Look, if you don't like Maven, if you don't like some of the other favorites, like we're going to get to a race coming up, the next race where I take a hard position against the favorite, you can lean on this filly. Don't feel like you have to beat her. It is still a pick 5. Don't double, second guess yourself. If you think this is the most likely winner of the sequence, don't shy away from that. As long as you're not playing 9-5 with 6-5 with 8-5, you say, okay, this is the favorite that I think is going to win. No problem. Chalk it up. Now, where can I find value elsewhere?
That is race number 7 at Keeneland. We're going to move along to race number 8 at Keeneland. But before we do, I want to let you guys know about one of the longtime sponsors of my podcast. That's What G Said. And a very good friend of mine, Tyler Herringer, who works over at sarahcandles.com. And I always like plugging the candle companies around the holidays because this is a perfect time right now. Think about when it is. We are in October. We're getting ready. We're getting closer to Thanksgiving coming up next month, and then Christmas afterwards. And if you use the promo code GINO, you'll get 10% off your purchase, and you'll get a candle here that is all natural, soy wax, free from toxins, free from carcinogens, free from pollutants, none of those yucky toxins that you see the black smoke come up and you got your animals and you got your kids and everyone in there breathing those scents. You have a crazy wide range of scents for you to choose. 3 different sizes. You can get different ones for family members, for friends. We're always looking for gifts come holiday season, and it's like, what am I going to get for dad or for mom or for aunt, for uncle? I don't sure. Candle is a great gift. You can give them all a little something for their personality. Maybe they're sweet, maybe they're salty. You can have a little fun with them there with the candle. And sarahcandles.com, CERA candles.com. That promo code GINO will get you 10% off your purchase there.
I tell you what, Gino, living down here in Florida, Christmas is a little different.
Yeah.
So I actually go out looking for candles that smell like pine to remind me of back when I lived in Massachusetts. So maybe I'll have to check out that website and get that 10%.
And they have a Christmas morning soy wax candle. They have all sorts
of
holiday scents. So if you just click on the holiday scents, it'll take you right to the ones they have all set up for Christmas. There's some apple spice there, all sorts of different cool ones. So they're always adding to. The cool thing about Tyler is just a small business and someone who totally gets it. He understands. He says people will send him a message and say, hey, do you have this scent? And he's like, no, but you know what? 2 days later, we will.
I'll make it.
I'll make it for you. Boom. So if you like helping a small business, guy grew up, 5 minutes away from me. We went to school together from first grade all the way up, and a really good guy, loves playing the races. He's a big Dodger fan too, so I know he's going to be out rooting this weekend, hoping that the Dodgers can turn things around after that big night last night as we get set.
Oh, wait, time out. Chris Taylor just hit another home run.
Oh, there we go. Sweet teeth. I startle so many of my neighbors. So many of the people just walking their dogs down the street, and it's like, oh, get out! Get out! Oh! And they're just looking at me like, what is this guy on?
I do that every day of my life, but it's cheering horses down the stretch.
Exactly. And we're going to be cheering a couple of them in this 8th race coming up at Keeneland. So let's start with you here, Barry. We've got the grade 3 Sycamore. They're going to be going long on the turf course here, and towards the outside, 2 Emmys is installed as the 3-1 lukewarm morning line favorite here. From the inside, Glenn County will likely take a lot of support, dropping out of that 3rd in the grade 2 last time out over at Kentucky Downs. So tell us a little bit about some of your thoughts on this race.
Yeah, I thought 2 Emmys won't be the favorite, even though on the morning line he is the actual favorite. But that's a tough post for a horse that needs the lead and also never won at this distance.
Yeah,
I can't take a short price on a horse like that, even if he is second choice. That's just not what I'm into. I like to beat those kind of horses. And Glenn County definitely looks the part here, but almost looks too obvious. You know what I mean? There's some races where it's just like, wow, that just looks like the horse. That's the one, and it looks too obvious in a spot like this. And, I kind of looked for a price rise. The guy kind of piqued my interest a little bit, but ends up finishing second a lot. So I kind of went away from that horse, and I ended up on Spooky Channel. A horse that's really solid, has a lot of positional speed, can be on the lead, can sit off it a little bit. I think this is going to be a good spot for that horse. Drew well in the 6th hole, and has speed numbers very comparable to the horses that are going to get bet. Hopefully, he won't get bet as much. I just think that the trip is good. This horse has been around a lot. 6-year-old, runs everywhere. And just always runs his race, and I hope he runs his race again today, because I think he's going to win. The horse that also that I kind of almost picked was the 2, A Journey to Freedom. But the difference was I thought that A Journey to Freedom is going to be a little bit too far back. But again, another one that runs his race every time. Can work out a good trip here, Maker. Does great things with all his turf horses. So, it wouldn't be a surprise if that horse won or ran well either. But, I had to make a choice between the 2 of them, and I took Spooky Channel.
Spooky Channel for Barry, one of the horses he's going to be using. He also mentions the 2 here, A Journey to Freedom. DZ, you kind of teased in the last race when we were talking that you were going to be against the favorite in here. So who are you looking at in the Sycamore?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a stone cold play against with 2 Emmys here. All the reasons that Barry said. Just talking about, winning wire to wire, going 1.125 miles and 1.25 miles is a much, much different thing than doing it at 1.5 miles. And I'm certainly not going to jump on board and expect you to do it the first time you ever done it. I agree. My top selection is actually Spooky Channel. This is a horse.
Hey.
This is a horse that's proven at the distance. Won the Connolly Turf Cup. You don't really see this often. Horse won a grade 3 and then was claimed two starts later for $80,000, which is not something you see happen every day. Kind of went a little bit off form, but I also think it was a product of a couple of different things. I think the Louisville was just not the right setup for him. He stumbled at the start, was never really involved. The Wise Dan obviously was much shorter than he wanted to run. Set Piece, who won that race, is a very nice horse. Then he got back to what he wanted to do. Longer races on the turf. 1.25 miles at Ellis. Great effort. 1.125 miles at Remington Park was just the best horse that day and came from nearly dead last. Now he gets back to doing what he really wants to do, and that's go 1.5 miles. Now, the one thing that I don't like is I hate the rider on the horse. And I've talked about this with you before, Gino.
It's a fit thing.
I hate Leparoux with horses that have to come from far back, which is probably what Spooky Channel is going to do, even though he does show tactical speed at times. Now, the one thing that I will say that's a caveat to that is that Leparoux has ridden this horse many times before, has won with him on 3 separate occasions, twice at 1.5 miles. So that does ease my concern a little bit. The other horse that I like a bit is Kentucky Ghost. Kentucky Ghost finished second in a stake event at Kentucky Downs behind In Love, who of course came back to win the Keeneland Turf Mile. First start after that, got beat just the neck going a mile and a 16th to Cavalry Charge. Now, if you're saying, well, Darren, you talked about 2 Emmys, has never gone a mile and a half. Neither has Kentucky Ghost. Sure. But I'm going to get 3 times the price on Kentucky Ghost than I'm going to get on 2 Emmys. And I do like the running style for Kentucky Ghost better. So for me, the 6 and the 11 are my 2 A horses. Because of the price situation, I think Glen County is going to be close to favorite. And I don't really think that Mr. D Stakes, domestic spending put aside, was the strongest grade 1 turf race we're going to see. So I don't necessarily think that Glen County and 2 Emmys are really grade 1 caliber horses. So I'm going to fade both of them. I'm going to fade 2 Emmys entirely. Glen County, I'm going to put into my B column of my tickets, but I'm going to lean pretty heavily on the 6 and the 11.
I absolutely love Kentucky Ghost.
There you go.
Absolutely love Kentucky Ghost in this spot. And me and Bejarano, we've got a relationship. I can just say we got ourselves a relationship. And
is it a love-hate thing?
It is. It was like, man, from my years out here in SoCal, when I used to play him and I would need him singled on a chalk, it would just be brutal. If I needed it in any situation, he was always one of those for me where I was playing him the 75% of the time he was losing when he was winning at 25% of the time. Like every time that I would pump him would be the wrong way. And last time we talked about Kentucky Ghost, I believe it was a few weeks ago. And Kentucky Ghost looked really good in that spot. And he kind of screwed up the ride again in that situation. Like he probably should have won that race again. He was wide. He was 8th early. He was about 6-7 off. He was in a fine spot, but what was weird, he moved to the outside early, kind of tipped, so that way he didn't get stuck in, but then he just didn't go. It was like he moved to the outside and then just kind of sat. And then you're just kind of sitting, waiting, like still wide. And then when he pushed the button, the horse responded, but he just pushed the button way too late. It was really weird. It was like he could sense that he didn't want to get stuck and then he needed to tip out, but he didn't sense that it was like time to press the button. And if he would have, they would have won that race. What I like about Kentucky Ghost is, you don't see a lot of the G1s and G2s on the page for him, but you know that he is capable of keeping up with grade 1 company because he was just right with In Love, the horse who Darren gave us a couple weeks ago, who came right back to win that grade 1 with a shard. So shout out to that great ride. And
that was sick. He went into the gate. He was 23-1.
Oh man,
he hits the wire. He's 12-1.
Killed me.
It was because everybody was
killing me.
Scream the day before. The power of Darren Zocali dishing that out.
I'm sitting there. I thought I literally had like twice the money I had.
You went back and looked. You're like, did I miss punch? That 100 was that 1,000 instead or what? Right? Like. Yeah,
I was in there to lose all my money.
That was hurtful.
Another thing I like about
we're laughing, but it's not really funny.
No, it's not.
that kind of stuff should not happen at a place like that.
Laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're kind of talking about how there's not that much speed in here. What I like is he's exiting shorter races. Right. So I think he's just naturally going to be up closer to the pace in here.
Oh, I think he will be. I don't think he's going to be far back.
Not at all. And in fact, I would love if he got aggressive and tried to put him right on it or make 2 Emmys work and then sit right behind 2 Emmys. Like that would be the perfect kind of trip I would hope for, because I think it's a great spot.
You want me to tell you where I think he's going to be? I think he's going to be 4th, about 3 lengths off the lead. He's going to sit right behind Rise the Guy and Yamamoto.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
And that's another horse who I wanted to mention a little bit, Rise the Guy, because he is capable of winning these type of races. He's not quite all that consistent anymore, but if you look at his form, when they go along on the grass, he is able to show some tactical speed, sit a pretty good trip. Sometimes he can make an early move right into the teeth of, a slow pace. And then he just is kind of getting the jump on some of the deeper closers. If you're looking for a mid-tier horse, if you're playing against 2 Emmys and maybe some of the shorter price horses in here, I will definitely be throwing Rise the Guy onto some of my tickets. I
have one problem with him. With one exception, he's a marathon horse that doesn't win marathon races.
He just doesn't. No, you're right.
Problem.
That's the thing. You're absolutely right. I would never want to take short prices on him for that very reason. If he's in the 6 or above range, he's always that horse who, with his running style going long, I'd prefer him than a stone cold closer. But you're absolutely right. It's like he shows up in these spots a lot of times that look kind of like this. It's like, this is a good spot for him.
Yep.
There's not that much speed. He should be right there. And he does what we've seen him do. Like, okay, he ran a decent second or a close fourth, where he was beaten just a couple lengths.
My only problem with Kentucky Ghost is I don't know if that last race was the rider or the horse. I mean, he's always around, but he just never wins. He's like, he has more seconds than wins, which usually turns into a negative for me after a certain point. But he merits a great chance here today because of his price. You gotta have to give him a shot because he can win. He beat In Love before.
I just think he got beat by the trip last time. I think Cavalry Charge had had the best trip in the race. He sat second off the speed. Kentucky Ghost was like 5 wide off the turn. I just think it came down to trip. That's why he didn't get there.
And you know what, Barry, to kind of piggyback your point a little bit too, when horses like that kind of loom up and they're running second or third, or they show up quite a bit, I love it when they get a chance to get put on the lead or put really close to it.
Right, close to the lead, yeah.
Then they don't have to worry about looming up and passing those horses. You know what I mean? It's a different ball game when you're in the race versus having to do the work to get there and then try to pass them. I'm hoping he's a little more forwardly placed or just says, hey, you know what? We're drawn to the outside. I don't want to have to get caught wide and get cute. We don't want to be any worse than third or fourth in here. That trip that Darren mentioned would be perfect for Kentucky Ghost. I'm hoping anything over 5-1, that would feel pretty fair in here in a race where, I prefer Glenn County over two Emmys.
Mm-hmm.
If I was,
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
one of the two of them. Because at least the one can save all the ground. Like, what you're going to get with the one, save all the ground, going to make one trip, will probably be in the top 3 or 4, but not quite that sexy or exciting from a betting perspective as maybe a few others in here, if we can get the right kind of price on Kentucky Ghost. Let's move along to race number 9. And we've got a non-2 optional 80 here where they'll be going 6.5 furlongs. And thought there were a couple pretty talented horses in here, DZ, but it's an intriguing race because there's no real standout. Even, the Wesley Ward over Bohr, who was behind Avery Jane, who's undefeated 4-for-4, 3-time stakes winner. I don't know if he has to win. And this is like going back to a point that you mentioned, I think either last week or 2 weeks ago. These races where Wesley Ward has horses like this are so difficult to handicap because, if this horse comes out firing, shows good speed, it wouldn't be shocked, but the pattern isn't incredible. And it's not as if he's got like standout, overpowering speed figures and is like a cinch to win this race.
No, this race is just for me is a total crapshoot. I don't have a good opinion about who I like, who I don't like, who I think is going to run huge. Look, I think the first thing you need to address when you look at this race is if Tejano Twist runs back to that last figure, he's going to win. Now, the one thing I wanted to do was validate if that figure was correct. So I checked out Timeform US just to see what he got in Timeform, and he got a 105. So that puts that 88 pretty close. It's pretty legit. When you have two speed figures that are saying the same thing, tells you that was a pretty fast race. Nobody else has really come that close to it.
And I like the trip that he projects to get.
Yep.
But I am a little bit worried about the 6.5.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then, he's by Practical Joke, who's been one of the better 2-year-old stallions. Look, you talked about Overbore. I have no idea. Averly Jane won that last race. The horse was never really a threat to Averly Jane at all whatsoever at any point. The Tremont was a nice win. He's clearly not like this supremely talented horse. The way you could just tell the way Ward campaigns
the way he's been handled. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been handled. He's been managed. He's already run 4 times. This is going to be his 5th start in the mid-October. If this horse was any good, or I should say if he was really good, he'd have 2 starts and he'd either be running in the Breeders' Cup or he'd be put away to like Ascot next year.
I was going to say, we'd see an Ascot running line somewhere.
Yeah. So that, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's not good enough to beat this field, but it does give you some cause. The outside horse, who knows? Sunny is not so funny. Had a monster speed figure breaking his maiden. The horse that ran second to him, Blunder, has run back a couple of times and has run very similar speed figures to what he ran that day. He's run well in maiden special weight company. The horse that ran third finished second in a maiden claimer, got put up to first. The horse that ran fourth won a maiden special weight, but then didn't run well in an Indiana race. So there's kind of some mixed signals with the horses that ran behind him. But that being said, the race did come back fast. He's well posted to the outside.
And he won by 8.
He won by 8. Yeah. So that's another horse that you have to consider. The bottom line, I'm using a lot of horses in this race because I do have some strong opinions elsewhere. And thankfully, as an owner, I get to only use one horse in the 10th race. So that does help me quite a bit in structuring my personal ticket. But the other horse that I'll mention, if you're asking me for a price, and I'll let somebody else talk about Cool Papa G, because I'm sure you guys will. Private Road, I'm going to include. Private Road ran third to Hungry Henry upon debut at Indiana Grand. I benefit from watching Indiana Grand. Hungry Henry's a very nice horse. He won very impressively that day. He came back to win a non-winners of 2 life, going away by 5 lengths in his next start with a strong figure. So he's coming out of a key race, 2 back. Then he came back and won. I know neither of the figures look fantastic, but he's probably better than the 12-1 line suggests. He's on a long list of horses that I'm using, and I'm going to structure my ticket in different ways. But bottom line, I don't have any kind of strong opinion about one way or the other here.
We get to Barry for the 9th. Barry, Overbore will take some money. Tejano Twist will take some money. Who's going to take some of your money today?
I am leaving the Overboard train where it is. I'm going with Tejano Twist. I think that horse just has improved so much and kind of got a little just consistently faster than the rest of these on paper. But young horses like this, it's always kind of a shaky proposition. Cool Papa G, I was just wondering where that horse has been for the last few months.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing is, Barry, Darren told us that he had a horse in the last race. I didn't realize you named a horse after me in this race, DZ. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I am pretty cool, right, fellas? Right?
I paid $87,000 for this thing in 2020 and named him after you.
Just for this joke. Just for this inside joke on this live stream right now.
Yeah.
Nice. But I thought I didn't give a long shot, a kind of shot to at least run well. I'm not really sure the horse could win, because the 4, the 5, and the 7 look pretty tough as the top 3. Was the 1 coming in from Belterra. I think that horse ran pretty good the last couple races, despite what the speed figures say. I like the fact that he's drawn the rail, and the speed doesn't look too overpowering here. And if this horse can, I would figure this horse isn't going to be in the lead, kind of sit like a stalking type trip. Might be right where Tejano Twist is. And maybe they can just go on together. I don't see any reason not to like that horse who's on the improve. He's improved every time he's been on the track. So I don't see that not happening today. He may not be good enough to finish second or third, but I think he's still going to improve. And I'll give him a shot at a big price.
The horse that he ran second to that day, Old Town Road, guess who he's trained by? Wesley Ward.
Wesley Ward, yes.
Yeah. Wesley Ward at Belterra Park.
Right.
Trying to get all that money. The casino money is gold.
Amazing.
It's like these poor connections. They're like, damn, I had to deal with the Wesley Ward at
You believe you enter
Maybe
a
I can get
2-year-old.
away from him at Keeneland, right?
Enter a 2-year-old N1X at Belterra, and boom, the overnight comes out. Wesley Ward.
It's like, no, I cannot believe that. That's brutal.
That race might be stronger than we think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good point. So Darren, you mentioned the 9 Sunny is not funny, who is going to be on a lot of my tickets. I thought he was really impressive in that debut. He had a good start. And what I like is he did sit a little bit early. He kind of sat second, a half length off. He moved to the lead without really being asked. And then he just crushed the field. And he did what he was supposed to do. And he's drawn well. So if he needs to sit a little bit, I like the fact that he's to the outside, not the inside. The horse who I'm kind of intrigued by is this 6 Red Label. So put a line through the last race for Red Label on October the 9th, going long at Keeneland. tried to go a mile last time out, fast start, went right to the lead on the inside, got company to the outside. Then he had to back off a little bit, and he was not in a comfortable position, and he got shuffled. Race was over, right? Many horses, they get that kind of trip, they're done. They're not going to be able to re-rally. So let's just cross that race out. And let's look at the form prior to that. We've got a 4th in a stakes race at Arlington going 7 furlong. That's not bad. We've got a win against Maiden 50 Claimer. We got a Maiden 50 Claimers at Ellis going 7 on the dirt that I think people will get discouraged by because it's a maiden claiming race, but it wasn't a bad effort. And we can put a line right through the race going long on the grass. Just cross out the 2 races going long. We know that this horse can succeed on the dirt. We know that this horse should have no problem with the distance because he has performed well going 7 furlongs. So 6.5 should be no issue. I think he, on the cutback, should be sitting a real nice kind of stalking spot. He'll have a little bit more bottom, a little bit more fitness. He's got a race over the track already, so he's a little bit more familiar with it. I wouldn't be shocked if Red Label shows up, and is he as good as some of the others? No, but the way he's positioned in this race off of that cutback with some fitness, some of these other horses might not like that extra distance, that 6.5. That might be tough for a horse like Overbore or Tejano Twist, or even a horse like Cool Papa G, who hasn't raced since June. I'm not worried at all about the distance with Red Label. I'm worried that maybe he's a little below the top notch in here, but from a trip standpoint, a distance standpoint, if he's in the 6-1 above range, he's going to be on a lot of my late exotics, pick 4s and pick 5s.
Love cutback angles with horses like this. It's a great angle. Yep.
Yeah. The cutback at the tricky distance, right? It's 6.5 and 7. It's once you get above 6, that's when I like the horses that cut back from the mile and a 16th. And in particular, ones who have shown a little bit of route speed that cut back. Because then, they don't have to be way out of it on the turn back. They can still.
Well, he made the league going 7 at Ellis. So
I know this horse has some sprint speed, but he's not quite as fast as a few in here. There's probably 2 or 3 others that are quicker. I think he ends up, sitting 3rd. That would be.
I think that's actually better for him. I think that plays into his hands better. I don't think you want him to have as much speed as like the 9 or the 1 or the 1
or the 9 or the 7. I don't think the 7's going to go. Maybe the 8. Landis-Now, wouldn't be shocked if they try to get a little bit more speed.
By the way, I'm glad you brought that up. That's kind of the other reason why the Wesley Ward horse bothers me. Like,
he doesn't have the speed.
Yeah, like I'm so used to all the good Wesley Ward horses just being blazing horses. Yeah, exactly. And this horse is not. So maybe I'm being unfair in that evaluation, but I'm just so used to seeing that from.
No, I'm with you on that. Yeah. He doesn't look like he's just
thing, right?
super fast.
Yeah.
When you see the Baffert horses that aren't really fast or that aren't really precocious or that don't really get bet, you kind of like scratch your head a little bit and you're like,
where's the speed, man?
Yeah, it doesn't really fit the profile all that much. So, yeah, I agree. I had 6. For me, 6 and 9 are the horses who I'm going to kind of build a lot around. But I agree with Darren in that, you could probably afford to use a couple others if you shorten up in some spots. I may play a ticket where I even single Kentucky Ghost to try to get a little bit of separation there. And then if I did, so I would be able to use, a lot of the horses that we mentioned. Private Road. I'd even flop in Barry's Ain't Straight from the rail now. That would be a fun one to get in. Cool Papa G. We mentioned Tejano Twist and Red Label. But
let me ask this question, because I think this will sum up this race perfectly. Will anybody in this race shock you?
No.
There you go.
None.
Literally, same. There's nobody that would win this race where I would go, oh, come on, that horse couldn't win.
And if you're just listening right now in a very general sense, if that is the case for you, don't use the favorite.
Yep.
Don't use the favorite or a short price horse. And the only time that you should is if in the next race, you absolutely love a 20-1 shot that you just want to you're getting through this pick 5 and you just want to make sure that's you hit it because you have that horse. Otherwise, don't even do it. And even if it's not even the smartest case all the time because you can double your ticket up with horses you like more.
Yeah, if you have a couple of singles in the sequence that are 8-1, 10-1, 12-1, then you have a spot where you could hit an all button in a race like this. But like you're saying, the problem with the all button is you're basically saying you're giving everybody in the race an equal chance to win, and you're taking every unit that you put into the pick 5 sequence, and you are literally putting them equally through each horse in the race, which means you're saying that you give a 2-to-1 shot the same chance to win as a 15-to-1 shot, but yet you're investing in both horses equally. So you're putting bad money after good money. It doesn't make sense because you're really hurting yourself in the long run. Because if you are able to take out that opinion of, well, I don't want to let the favorite beat me, and you can double down or triple down elsewhere, like you were saying, that's how you make money in the game. You don't make money by spreading out massively in these races and including every single horse out of a fear that a 9-to-5 shot is going to win and knock you out.
Nope, not at all. It's just never, right? Like,
and it's so hard. It's so hard to get past that. It took me years.
Exactly. Mentally, you have to concede some payoffs. It's like, you know, you have the favorites, and if it comes chalk, I don't want it. I mean, no matter what I played as a ticket, that's not something I'm going to have. Yep. So, you know, I'm okay with that, and then I'll live to fight another, you know, sequence.
But if you like Olive and you like either the 1 or the 12 in the Sycamore, don't use the favorites in here.
Right. Toss
them, you know, because because this race, we're telling you, anybody can win.
Unless you plan on playing the bet straight, you know, with all favorites, you know, like a $20 straight ticket, or, you know, something like that where it's all chalk. But even then, it's still it's a lot. Obviously, it's a risk. But
your approach makes sense then, right?
Right.
At least what
makes
you're
more
doing,
sense.
You're trying to get the most value that you can out of that sequence. That's the way you felt that. But you know, that's the one thing when we're taught, and that's the problem, and that's why some of the people like our buddy ITP out there on social media and stuff preaches things. You know, the way that we're taught is you're just sort of taught to pick the winner.
Yep.
You know, and then you're trying to, when you're young, you're kind of, I'm going to pick the winner of this race, and you're not immediately, like, price isn't always built in. And I'm very lucky because, like, my dad was just always someone who just doesn't play. That's just how he is. He's just an anti-chalk player.
My dad was the same way.
So growing up, that was just instilled into me. Like, I knew that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to beat these horses. But a lot of people that you talk to, you know, that's how they were taught, and that's how they're brought up is, hey, let's pick the winner of this race. Let's try to pick the winner of every single race. Barry, you hit the nail right on the head. You've got to make that value line in your head, whatever it is. Hey, this is my line. I like this horse at 5-1, but if this horse is 5-2, I am not betting them, and I'm not even going to get mad that they win, because that's not the price that I want on them. That's not where they should be. Once you can get okay with that, you'll do a lot better in this game. You'll feel a lot better about it.
I'll give you another hot take that a lot of people are going to disagree with. If you have a pick 4 sequence where you love a horse that's 20-1 on the morning line, and you look at the other 3 races, and you like the favorite in the other 3 races, don't bet the pick 4.
Don't play it.
Just take whatever you were betting in the pick 4 and bet the 20-1 shot to win.
Yeah,
there's this fascination with hitting pick 4s and pick 5s, and I get it because you can get huge rewards. But what do you think a pick 4 of 6-5, 8-5, 2-1, 20-1 is going to pay? Is it going to pay enough to offset you betting $80 to win on it? Think about it. If you bet $80 to win on a 20-1 shot and the horse wins and pays $42, you're going to get back $1,600. In no chance for a 50-cent ticket is 6-5, 8-5, 2-1, 20-1 paying $1,600. No chance. It's going to pay $300. Just bet the horse to win. But people don't do it. They're so fascinated with it.
It's a thought and a plan, you know, and some people just like to fire, and they're not really thinking about what the plan is to make money. So you got to kind of, it's not easy. I mean, it takes years and years of practice to get to that level where you can say, hey, you know what? I'm better off making that win bet rather than playing the pick 3 or even the double. You know, it takes a lot of that budgeting, maneuvering of and thought, you know, when you go to the window. But one thing I also like to mention is sometimes you don't even have to like a horse in the race in order to fall into it. That's what I like to call it, because you can fall into long shots when you know you don't like the favorite.
And that horse is just a bigger price than they should be.
Exactly. And you know, if you can get to that point where you're saying, hey, I'm going to bet against this favorite, we're not even going to put him on the ticket. You can fall in using, you know, a little bit of a spread to horses that normally you might not include if you were trying to, to kind of play it safe, so to
Yep.
speak.
Yep.
And you fall into bigger long shots doing that, and you don't necessarily have to be in love with the horse to have him on the ticket.
Yep. It reminds me of a lot of what's happening right now when we watch sports, and Darren and I are kind of pulling our hair out a lot of the stuff with some of the analytics stuff. It's everything is trying to hit the big one every time. Every time.
That's baseball. Either hit the ball 700 feet or strike
Right.
out. That's
It's
baseball.
every time. It's basketball. It's all 3-pointers.
3-pointers or
every
nothing.
time.
Or
Bring
dunks.
in 7 different pitchers in 9 innings that all threw 101 miles an hour.
We see teams on fast breaks in the NBA actually give up
Pull
a
up.
layup
Yep.
for a three. They give up a layup.
It is so funny you said that, because I coach my son's 3rd grade basketball team, and I had practice yesterday, and we were literally working on transition offense, where I said, I will take you off the court if you stop short, not even a 3. If you stop short, like if you have a 2-on-1 break, and instead of making a pass or driving, if you stop short and take a 12-footer, you're going to the bench. But for the same reason you say, because they watch it on TV and they think that's what they're supposed to do.
We've seen, like, wow, why in some of these games the last couple nights that the Dodgers and Braves have been playing, what's been working? Beating the shift, slapping the ball the other way, stealing bases when nobody else is stealing bases. The Dodgers have stolen 15 bases in the playoffs. Nobody can throw them out because pitchers don't hold anybody on anymore, right? You got to take what's there, and that's what you're saying.
I would do the exact opposite of it. If there was a shift on me, there's literally shifts now in baseball, and we're digressing completely, but there's shifts in baseball where you have 4 guys on the infield that literally are between first and second base.
You just
I would bunt, like a hard bunt to the left of the pitcher every single time until they stop shifting. We're
seeing it. Just take what they give you sometimes. Sometimes, you know, if you're not betting to win, I don't think you're winning long term, honestly. If you're only trying to hit pick 4s and pick 5s, and you're not capitalizing on some of your stronger opinions by win wagers when you get those 5, 8, 10, 20 to 1 shots home, those are the horses that take care of your bad weeks and months.
Well, I mean, look, it is so hard to hit a monster score. Thankfully, I was lucky enough to do it. The only reason I did it this year was because the horse that we owned won a race that I singled at 12-1.
Yep.
That's the only reason I hit it. Like, you know, if I didn't own racehorses, I wouldn't have hit that pick 5 sequence. So, like, it comes down to, you need to have discipline. You need to not be afraid to lose. And it's so hard to overcome that, because you're going to get sequences where you get knocked out by a favorite and you go, I should have used that horse. Yep. No, you shouldn't have, because next time maybe you're going to hit the thing for $4,000.
That's the one. You just don't even let those thoughts creep in anymore.
Yeah.
I should have used those, because then you start getting like negative on yourself, and you're like, I made a mistake. You didn't make a mistake. Nope. You made the right decision, and you know what? You continue to make those decisions long term, it's going to pay out for you. Like it's going to pay out for DZ here in race number 10 with Thorough Crowd. We've got Wave of Goodness, who draws in off the also eligibles list. DZ, tell us a little bit about this horse.
Yeah, we'll go behind the past performances here on the That's What We Said live stream. So we purchased a majority interest in her privately after her last start. We actually caught wind of her 3 starts back, the race that she ran second, and we had a filly in that race as well, where we saw her. She actually ran second to one of Ethan's horses taken to the cleaners that day. She's a light-bodied filly. We fed her up, put some weight on her since we got her. She worked out on October the 15th, 48-2. Alex Ashard was a boarder for the workout and came off and said it felt like she was walking out there. So,
nice.
You know, that's what you like to hear. You know, she's got some talent to her. She definitely fits in this field. But
she fits.
No, she does. It's the right.
Yeah,
it's the right. It's the right spot for her. There's no question about that. It's her first start for us. And when you have a horse that's debuting for the stable, you know, she could train as well as she's training, and you can get all the positive thoughts from the trainer and the jockey and everything. But that being said, you know, you still don't know what you're going to get. Now, I do think that compared to the majority of the field, like she has run against Time for Glory, who's in this race. But compared to the majority of the field, I do think lately she's been running against better horses than most of these fillies have been running against. Taken to the cleaners, who's beaten her in 2 of the last 3, is probably running in the Valley View Stakes. won a race at Indiana Grand by 17 lengths a couple of weeks ago. She ran against Flippant and Adventuring in the race at Ellis, who are two very nice horses. She's not a stakes filly, but she is a starter allowance filly. And my only concern, and it's somewhat alleviated by the scratches to the inside, my only concern is the chance for a wide trip from the post. But hopefully she could take back, sit mid-flight, sit fifth, sit sixth, maybe go too wide into the turn and kick on from there. And the other concern, and Andrew spoke about this, and I do recognize, is there is a bit of a lack of pace scenario here. The 6 horse has a chance to wire the field. Hopefully she's not too far back. But look, like I said, do I think she can win the race? Yeah, if things set up well, I do think she has the ability against this field. But as an owner, I'm looking for a big effort, whatever that is. If it's a good second, if it's a good third, and she runs well first time out for the stable, I'll be very, very happy.
That's the number 13, Wave of Goodness, hoping to bring just that to third.
Goodness.
A wave of goodness.
Cascading green wave.
Pours over all of us. And Barry,
the fact that I'll be single to her in the pick 5. So, it could be a really big wave.
That would be a big wave for sure. Barry, who are some of the horses in this 10th and final at Keeneland that you're looking at?
Well, I didn't realize Wave of Goodness got in until we got on the podcast. This when Andrew mentioned it, and honestly, doesn't look bad compared, comparatively.
It's very fits, yeah.
It definitely she fits here. But before that, I liked Ollie's Candy until Andrew picked him. That was Ollie's Gold. Ollie's Gold was my pick, and I was kind of torn because I really don't know what this horse is going to do. I mean, I don't feel confident that this horse is going to wire them, although it might be possible, but I don't see any other kind of running style for that horse.
Oh, she'll be on the lead. She'll definitely be on the lead. Yeah,
I think she'll be on the lead, but I don't know if she can actually finish this off.
And by the way, the other thing I thought, the extra 16th of a mile, I don't think helps her.
No.
She loses ground in the stretch seemingly just about
every time.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And I was like, I don't know about that horse, but has a little bit of a class edge on these horses, and that's where actually it brought me to Time for Glory, the 11. I just think that this horse has some back class here that should get this horse over the top. I'm not totally enthralled with this horse or this field in general. I think it's a little bit wide open. I'm going to use several in the multi-race exotics. I'm definitely using more than one here. But I thought that her race back in Indiana Grand back in August was pretty good. And although she finished behind another runner in here, the 8, I still thought that was a really, really good effort. And then coming back on the drop after getting claimed for $20,000 too, this race is kind of all over the place. And I was just looking for somebody that has at a decent price that has some finishing kick, and that's where I landed on the 11. But there's several others, including the 13, that has that kind of feel to it.
But she got beat 6 lengths by Shantazara, and we saw what she did last week. So
exactly.
Yeah.
She does seem like, when you're just looking at the races that she's coming out of, it does feel like they are some of the better ones. A horse that I will mention, this will definitely be a spread race to me. You guys mentioned some of the ones, 11, 13. Heck, I thought the 12 is a little bit sneaky, just in like, hey, there's not that much speed in here, and maybe she can just be forwardly placed. She showed a little bit of early pace last time out, and then just kind of got in one of those trips where you're down inside, you get the shuffle, and the race is over.
She might sit second right to the 6 and get the best trip in the race. Yeah.
And you know what? She's one to maybe throw into some of your late exotics. The horse who I think is pretty interesting here is the 2, Silky Warrior. Mm-hmm. Just because you're looking at the conditions of this race. These are 3-year-olds and up, which have started for a claiming price of $50,000 or less. That's one key thing to mention too. It sounds silly, just make sure you read the conditions of the races before you jump into them. So this is a starter 50, and in this particular race, you have the 2 Silky Warrior, who has only been in one race that would qualify her for this, which I like. She's only been in for a 50 claiming tag once. She ran second that day. She ran really well. The other race, when she was in for a tag. She was in for Maiden 75. She got claimed out of that race, and then she's run pretty well since. She was competitive at Colonial against good maiden special weights. She went over to Kentucky and broke her maiden, and then she was competitive. She's been competitive against good horses all over. And in that last start, Silky Warrior had a slow start. She was towards the rear. She was 11th of 12. She was 8 off. She got parked 3 deep. It was just a no shot kind of trip. Now you cut back, but the same kind of concern that we've had with some of these. She's not very fast.
No, she's going to have to overcome probably more so than most.
Yeah. At least she shouldn't have to give up ground in doing that. Like, at least she should be able to save all the ground inside.
You know what the other problem with her is, by the way? Her last 3 races are 1 mile and 1/8 and 1 mile and 5/16, and she's only got 1 mile and 16 today.
So we got to, like, I like her as a horse for how she fits in this race from class. Just the trip. That's what worries me. Is it, is this the kind of race she wants? Does she want a little longer when there's a little bit more speed to set it up for her? But I thought this was actually one of the more contentious races throughout the entire sequence. I did think, we said earlier there was one race where you could literally make a case for everyone. We've been going through, there are probably only 2 or 3 horses in this race that would really shock me.
There's only one that would shock me, the 9.
Yeah.
That's the only horse that would shock me. I mean, if I'm not too high on George Weaver's horse on the inside, because those 40,000 non-winners of 2 life races at Belmont are not typically that strong, but her figures stack up. But if you go through the rest of the field, we didn't even mention the 5, who's the morning line favorite.
I know.
I mean, I mean, the 9 is the only horse that would shock me.
Yeah, I think the board's going to reflect that too. I think a lot of horses got to be like 6-7 to 1, 5-6-7 to 1 in that range. A lot of them. I mean, the 5 is definitely going to take a lot of action. Just looking at the past performance, not even anything else. Like, if you just look at that past performances, those horses always attract a lot of money.
And Baseline Drive, who beat her, is a very nice horse.
Very good horse, yes.
Yeah.
So that is Keeneland for Friday. You've got about a little less than 30 minutes to get your wagers in for the start of the Keeneland Friday card, and plenty of time to get to the races that we discussed in that late pick 5 sequence. Barry, are you going to be hanging with us for Santa Anita, or do you need to duck out?
I can hang with you.
Cool. So
I handicap. We're good.
It's not going to take long. That's not exactly the most.
Unfortunately,
many horses
won't take nearly as long as it took us to get through this part, because the fields are shorter. Which, hey, you know what? Sometimes you can beat a heavy favorite or two and really make some money. We'll get in there. Yeah, we'll get in there in just a second. Before we do, I wanted to show you a website and a place that I've been doing some work with over the last few months, and a place that is going to help you become a better. I'm talking about betterthan.vegas. Give them a follow on Twitter at BTVBets and flip those notifications on. Here's a look at the website. It's totally free. You get a bunch of different handicappers and gamblers from all around the world that are posting you videos with their selections, with games that they're playing all throughout the day, some of their reasoning. And there is what used to be the weekly showdown. It's the monthly showdown, where all you have to do is register an account. If you do so and you post videos with some of your selections throughout the day, they will actually score all of them for you. The winning person every month gets $1,000. It doesn't cost you anything. All you have to do is go post some of your videos. You post what your selections are. Whoever's got the best ROI gets $1,000. You get to build your following a little bit over there too. You get to interact with other like-minded gamblers. So that's the website. And on Twitter every day, they're doing giveaways just like I'm doing right here. They give away free wagers. So there'll be like a prop, or there will be a total or a spread for one of the games throughout the basketball, baseball, football. They'll pick you. All you have to do is help retweet, share their stuff. Better Than Vegas. Help them share. They will help you. They'll put a few bucks right back in your pocket at BTV Bets.
Shout out to Blackjack, birthday boy.
Yeah. Blackjack is the man. I love Blackjack over there. Blackjack, Leo doing a great job. Beho over there hanging out. We have live streams leading you up to all the football games on Thursdays, on Mondays, on Sundays. So ton of content over there. It's all free. It's all trying to help you become a better. So we will get to Santa Anita in just a moment. But before we do, I told Darren I wanted to hear a little bit more about Thorough Crowd, because we just talked about one of the horses that DZ has running at Keeneland in the 10th race. So Darren, I have the website here. Start talking a little bit about Thorough Crowd, how you got involved, a little bit about the group, and I'll pull it up and you can kind of talk us through some of the site.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, we started the venture last year. Claimed our first horse last July, $5,000 claimer, believe it or not, at Indiana Grand, and things just kind of progressed. We did pretty well with our first couple of horses. The second horse that we claimed was a filly by the name of Stylish Kitten, that we claimed for $10,000. She won 3 races, including a $20,000 claimer at Churchill Downs, and kind of just advanced from there. We got Threat Level Midnight, who we claimed for $15,000 out of a claiming race at Turfway Park. And she actually just ran a Keeneland. She set the pace in the Illegal Smile. Not one is a 2, the 3-year-old no condition allowance. And she only got beat about 2.5 lengths in there with a big speed figure. So we've been doing pretty well. We got a horse in today, as we talked about earlier. Here's a look at some of the horses that we've had over the year and a half. And we're over $200,000 in earnings.
Nice.
So it's been pretty solid. There's Threat Level. There's Freedom Bound, who's on the also eligible list on Sunday at Keeneland. Knock on wood, we get some scratches and get in. And there's Only Rewards, who actually she's become quite a story. We claimed her for $5,000 out of an Indiana-bred filly and mare claiming race at Indiana Grand. She had a throat issue where we found that she had an entrapped epiglottis. So we performed the surgery on her. We gave her a little bit of time. Her first start back, she probably needed the race, but she ran second. Second start back, she ran second again. Third start back, she won. She beat a horse by the name of Betcha, who's been on quite a roll. It was about 8 lengths back to third. She ran her best buyer speed figure with a 72, which is sensational for an Indiana-bred $5,000 claimer, a filly and mare. She ran a 5 on the Thorograph sheet. And I'm refreshing Equibase like a lunatic because we entered her in a race at Keeneland on Wednesday. So I'm looking for the overnight there to see if she's going to get a chance to run at Keeneland too. So she's been quite a story. And we just claimed a horse at Keeneland on Wednesday. It was Wednesday or Thursday. I think Wednesday. Out of the first race was a $15,000 maiden claiming race where, guys, this was like hell-bent homework where we were watching replays. The horse has 3 starts. She's been beaten 120 lengths in the 3 races. And we're watching these replays, and her first start was just against like monsters at Gulfstream. Her second start was 1.25 miles at Churchill Downs where she went to the front and tired. Her third start, she comes out of the gate and goes to her face. And I mean literally like face in the dirt, makes a huge move on the far turn to get in contention before tiring in the stretch. I'm like, all right, no one's going to want this horse. She's 15-1 in the morning line. Have Ethan take a look at her. Then the odds board opens up for race 1, and she opens up at 4-5. It's like, what? Like, thankfully, we claimed her. We got her. She made a massively wide, big move on the far turn, catapulting past horses, ran a really good third, her best race by far. Got her back to the barn, scoped her, everything clear, good airway, legs tight and clean. And we sold out of shares on her faster than any horse we've had. Which is wild, like that they went that far. I wanted to get 10% of the horse. I couldn't even get 10%. I could only get 8% so we could allow more people to come in. But to come on in, go to thoroughcrowd.com. Gino's showing it to you here. You can email my partner, David Crone, at david@thoroughcrowd.com. You could send us a message right there about the information. You could read about the horses we had. You can go through all of it. There's no micro shares. There's no BS. You know, if you tell us you want 10 shares of a horse and we have them, boom, you're in for 10% of the horse, just like I am. Straight up, we keep you informed how the horses are training. We send you all the statements of their financials. You get a breakdown of all the costs. So you see everything that we see, full transparency. It's a lot of fun. And if you want to come in for 2 shares, you're more than welcome. There's no minimum. If you want to come in for 2 shares on a horse and it's going to cost you $200 a share and you have the money to spend just to have some ownership, come on in, get a couple of shares. You own 2% for $400 and you have a little bit of fun with it. It's such a thrill. Winning a race at Churchill Downs was an unbelievable feeling, even if it was a 20 claimer. And like I said, having a horse turn for home on the lead in a race at Keeneland in an allowance featured event was just like, it felt like the Breeders' Cup to us. Like, it was insane. I know we're not going to ever probably be at that level, but we have a lot of fun. We've done pretty well. We focus a lot on fillies and mares. We think we found our wheelhouse and what we want to do. Get involved. It's a lot of fun, and it's a cheap, fun way to have, real authentic horse ownership.
Yeah, if you have any questions, you can put your level of interest there. You can ask them, and they'll be very happy to go back and forth. Heck, just if you ever want, you can reach out to Darren, and he'll talk you through
hit me up on
his
Twitter,
experience right there, and he'll let you know everything that's been going on and give you another testimonial from someone who has.
And here's God's honest truth. Every horse that we've claimed, what we do is we take the price. We sell 100 shares, and then what we do is we estimate about what 3 months of the training costs are going to be. So we tack that on to the share because we don't want to have to come to you after a month and say, okay, you owe us $136, right?
Here's more, right?
So we're confident in Ethan where if we do it that way, knock on wood, we don't have to come back to you for any training fees. And hand to God, we haven't had to do that. Everybody that's come in on a horse, they've made their initial purchase, which is the shares plus the first 3 months of training, and the horses have paid for themselves. From that point on, we haven't had to come back to our investors and say, hey, we need more money for this particular horse for reason X, Y, or Z. Hopefully we keep that going. We've done a good job of it, knock on wood. But yeah, that's how we do things. It's a lot of fun, and it's definitely an affordable piece of entertainment.
Beautiful stuff. Would love to get involved. I told DZ I'm going to check back in with him in a couple months towards at the beginning of the year, and we'll be teaming up. I think so. As we have to give a big thank you as we move along over to Santa Anita, to Daily Racing Forum, to DRF.com. Major thank you to DRF.com for letting us use the DRF past performances to use a formulator. It's so nice when we're doing a stream like this just to be able to pull up the horse and show people what we're talking about, show people the race replays, the charts. For me, whenever I handicap, I know there are some really great tools, other really great past performances, but I've always been a formulator guy just for all the reasons that I showed you. It makes it so easy to go from one click to pedigree information, one click to the replay, one click to the chart, one click to the trainer stats. If you're someone who handicaps a lot, you look at a lot of tracks, a lot of races, this will be very convenient for you. This will help you save a ton of time. You don't have to pull up another site for every single replay that you want to look at and go back and forth. So
remember the days we had to do that where you'd have to go to different ADWs because of the contracts with different tracks to find replays,
or even way back in the day when you have to show up at the track early and watch them on that machine.
You remember racereplays.com?
Oh yeah, race replays. Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, we would.
When I used to practice calling races when I was a kid and I wanted to be a track announcer. That's what I would go on, racereplays.com. So you know how many times the stream would stop mid race and I'd have to go back and do it again.
I'm sure you guys are in similar situations, but we would have locally on local TV, they would play the replay show of like what happened at Santa Anita.
Mm-hmm.
Like a 30-minute recap of all the races, and then at the end,
tape them VHS.
And what's funny is like my dad and me I was like 5, and we would bet the races, we would bet them
all the time
with my dad, and we would do it for Los Al, which was funny. But I found out my dad was snaking me some of those times. He knew the results on some of those Santa Anita ones. Like we weren't actually betting, but he would tell me like, "Hey, son, the 5's gonna win this race," and I would be like, "Oh, Dad!"
That's like doing yesterday's lotto results, and
I would find out, "Oh, dude,
it's a Gray Sports Almanac."
Exactly. He was biffing me. Back to the 2 days ago, Dad. Come on. Nicola Bacola Sr. Don't rake your son over the coals like that.
My dad used to go to OTB, and back then they didn't have the numbers on the horses.
Right, it was letters.
The horses at OTB were letters.
Yeah.
So you would make the bet, and then you would watch the replay show, which Harvey Pack, of course, hosted all those years for Naira, and you would have to match up the letter to the name. You didn't know what number you had, so. Yeah. You would be listening to the names as they come down the stretch, trying to figure out, all right, I have the FGI box. Yeah. The F is derivative. What? No, that's the 7. Okay. By the time you figure it out, the race is over.
The things we do and have done as we head on over to Santa Anita. When Barry leaves too, we're going to check in and talk all about Big Mondays and going in circles and the podcast that's Barry's on. I know I saw Barry also joined another show this week to talk some Maryland Millions, so we can give that a little bit of a plug too in just a bit. But we're going to plug some Santa Anita, and we're going to do that in the 4th race. Barry, we've got maiden special weights here. We've got a couple Baffert runners who are going to take a ton of money. You've got Messier and you've got Blackadder right next to each other. Messier with the experience, the first-time starter. Blackadder is a full bro to Gingham, who is a $214,000 earner, a stakes winner, multiple graded stakes placed, a 3-time winner. So from a conversation standpoint, you got to probably start the race talking about the Bafferts. Which do you like them? Do you not? Sort of which one do you like more? How do you approach those Baffert runners in here?
I like the 4 Blackadder. I chose that one over Messier. Just because of those 2 works in September, the end of September, the September 22nd, 1 minute and 4 handily from the gate, and then the next one on the 29th, which was a little bit improved, minute and 2 handily from the gate. I thought those works stood out from everybody in this whole entire race, and I just think this horse is faster than everyone, despite some experience with a couple of them.
This is a look at the dam and some of the pedigree here. We were mentioning Gingham, the lone sib, who was beaten just a nose in the debut, came right back in career start number 2 to win. I mean, from like a betting standpoint, it's probably not the sexiest race in the world. One thing I think I noticed, DZ, with the Messier race, so I'll pull it up here and we can kind of watch it and talk a little bit about it. He was really green in his race, like and in particular late. So he's the 5 here in this race, and he just kind of kept towards the outside in the clear for most of this race. And it was weird, like he got like right here he
kind of ran in spots, you know. He ran and then he stopped and he ran again, and
exactly. He starts to loom up right here where you're like, oh, okay. Like he's just kind of in hand and he's probably going to just angle to the outside. And then quickly, like he starts getting goofy. He starts to angle to the inside. Yep. Then he sort of shifts. You see, he takes a weird step and then he shifts to the outside. Then I'm like, oh, he's done. Right? Like right here, he looks like he's absolutely done. And then watch him kind of, now he shifts to the inside and now the light bulb kind of goes on and he figures it out. And he shifts down there. And he starts to really show a little something. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to go and see maybe he learned something out of that. And you can go to XBTV and check out the workouts for free. It don't cost you anything to do. So I looked at some of the more recent workouts. And
did he work in company or did he work by himself?
He worked in company. Okay. And it was good. And honestly, it looks like one of those things where Baffert's working on a horse and you expect him to get a lot more mature and really figured it out. I liked it quite a bit. He was just visually so much better on October the 16th, not green at all. Like they've been no doubt working with him. So he's a chalk, absolutely. But it did seem like my worries and my concerns about him may have been fixed. The horse who I want to mention, and I am going to play a little bit, is the one. Don't Swear Dave. I actually think this horse has got a little bit of a shot in here. Now, what I like about Don't Swear Dave is his running line doesn't look like he showed any speed at all. Now, he's the 7 in here. He actually breaks a lot better than it looks. And then he kind of gets caught up in a group of horses that all are going, and then he backs up. See, look, he's with the field. This horse doesn't get left. He's with the top group, but what is he going to do? Is he going to try to stay in there, right, where there's 3 or 4 others? You could see he's kind of caught in between already. He's in a little bit tight. If you look at the head on, you can see. So he has to kind of grab a hold. He has to take back a little bit. And now he's at 3 wide, and now it's just not the greatest trip for him. I would not be shocked if with his draw in here, in a race that does not have that much proven speed on paper, and in seeing what I've seen in some of the works, it does look like they want Messier. I think he's going to sit a little bit, maybe sit right off a target. I need the one to break well, because if he doesn't break well from the rail, he's in trouble. But if he is in that 6 to 1-ish range and he does break fine, you know what? He lost. What we were saying last time out about it at Keeneland. Wonder who he lost to in his debut. A Bob Baffert first-time starter named Winning Map, who earned an 85 Beyer speed figure in winning that race. Oh, cool. We get away from that Baffert. Where do we go? Oh, we got a race where there are 2 Bafferts at 6 to 5 and 9 to 5 and here to deal with. But if it's not Messier for me, he's much more intrigued. Don't Swear Dave is more intriguing than the horses that I've seen run. We've got a Belterra shipper here, so maybe
You ever see a horse run second, beaten 2 1/4, and get a 9 buyer figure?
right in a maiden special
That's
weight.
crazy.
In a maiden special weight race.
9. And let me ask a question, because maybe there's an answer that I don't know. Why is Mike Smith not on Messier? Why is he on the Doug O'Neill horse?
And I think it was more of the putting Pratt on.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it might have been more of that. And I wonder if it may have just been a situation.
It was always Pratt's ride. He just wasn't at Los Al.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking, is that he wasn't running during that meet. Mike got it. He was there for the day. And now, back to Pratt. Because
I'll mention the 6 Cover Me Up, because it's just a couple of interesting angles. He's coming out of the Cornish race, which obviously is one of the key races going into the Breeders' Cup. Steady work tab. Richard Baltus putting the blinkers on. Baltus has good numbers, second start. Good numbers, blinkers on. If you're looking for a horse that I think is probably going to show more speed, I think Cover Me Up is probably going to do that here based on the workouts and the blinkers. I have no idea how good the horse could possibly be, but you take a look, the horse actually has a better buyer figure in that Cornish race than Messier had in the Los Al race.
Yeah,
it's possible that this horse is okay.
Yeah.
I have no way to know, but just based on the angles that I'm looking at 5-1, he's somewhat appealing.
Yep. 4th race.
Yeah, my long shot was Yogi Boy. Just out
cover the whole field.
Yeah.
My long shot was Yogi Boy, only because it just didn't fit. It just seems,
weird,
where
right?
something's just out of place.
There was a guy that used to hang with us at the racetrack where his famous line was, "If it doesn't fit, it fits."
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't that like the show Luck? Wasn't that like the main angle for their pick 6 that they singled the horse?
Yes.
It was like, this Toro Escalante horse just doesn't make sense or whatever it was, right? And they put in $1,000 ticket singling this horse just because it doesn't make sense. I love that. As we move along to race number 5 here at Santa Anita, and we're going to look at a 50 starter allowance. We will start with you, Barry. They're going to be going a mile on the turf courts in this 5th race. Who are you looking at?
Well, this is another kind of interesting race. There's a lot of directions here, and for a smaller field, but it just feels like Aloha Kitten is the one. I don't like betting chalk, but man, it's just hard to get around this horse in this spot. The one that really caught my eye that I almost picked on top was Lady Noguez, the one. I thought that horse ran very good, almost every time, just fires a really good shot, and probably gets a little bit of a break getting back to the inside, where she ran pretty good the last time back at Del Mar going longer. That was my only really hesitation was the cut back. It's very difficult to cut back from 1 3/8 to a mile and get the same kind of punch. Usually a horse needs a race or so, race or 2 just to get back into that kind of shorter distance. But those are the 2 that I zeroed in on. Freedom Last obviously is going to take a lot of action, but I just can't feel confident with a horse like that. It kind of been running at the same level over and over again and not winning, and I just can't do it.
DZ in this 5th race, who are you looking at?
I love the 5 Sinte Winte.
I'm singling the 5 Sinte Vinte.
Yeah,
I absolutely love the 5.
Yep, love her. Just what Barry just said, this horse is the exact opposite. She has 1 race at this level, and it was a win. Now, she is also cutting back from 1 3/8 to a mile, but she showed better punch at a mile.
Yeah, she's proven at the mile already.
She's proven at the mile. She's coming out of a race that was won by England's Rose, who came back to win a minor stakes race. Her speed figures have done nothing but move forward and accelerate throughout her career. Obviously pace is always a concern in a race like this with a short field, and this is a filly that has to come running. But she has an electric turn of foot for this level. Yep. And I just see a situation where she's going to just wheel out at the top of the stretch and blow by the field.
Yeah, I completely agree.
One of the things that I did like about the 3, O'Neill does very, very well with these kind of claims.
He does.
And it's almost for me like an automatic play, especially when he's stepping up in class. Yep. And this horse fits that profile to a T. So I'm expecting a big thing. But maybe we can get that cold exacta, the 5-3, 3-5.
Little
And
aloha, goodbye, aloha, hello, and Sinte Vinte. Yeah, I mean, she's one of those horses that you kind of you catch their first race and then you start to follow them. She had trouble in April and in May. In her first 2 starts in the US against Maiden Specials, it looks like she didn't run all that well. She had legitimate trouble, and then they dropped her because it was like they want to get a win. It was frustrating. Then they stepped her back up and protected her since. I like her quite a bit in this spot today. I think she's going to be really, really tough to hold off. So if I'm playing sort of late exotics, I'm building my tickets around her. I'm probably singling, and then we'll play another ice cold exacta and try to get a little smash with Barry's Aloha horse, and we can make a little money here in race number 5 as we get set to move along to race number 6. Before we do, just want to show you one thing, and that's a big contest coming up this weekend over at Santa Anita. It is called the Santa Anita Pick'em Contest. It is 100% free to enter. Doesn't cost you a dime. Here's what it looks like when you go to pick'em.santanita.com. Free to enter, and you click on cards, and you'll get an idea of what the props are for the Saturday contest. So, like anything, make sure you fill that tiebreaker out right off the top. You don't want to lose out. That's one of the worst.
Chappie does a good job, man.
Right?
I mean, these are really difficult.
I
mean, yeah, they're definitely fun. Very, very challenging. I mean, the guys that are winning, shout out to those guys because it's tough.
You get a combination of racing. So, like your first prop, all you got to do is pick the winner, and it'll tell you the percentages that other people will pick. So I'll give you a little bit of a shout out in race number 1. I like the 3 Riviera Champ right there. So I'll help you go ahead and build your lineup there. Then you have questions like this. How many wins on the card will Flavian Pratt get? He has 9 mounts on Saturday. And when you really dig into him, he doesn't have one mount that's over 4-1.
Oof. Wow.
He could legitimately win 7 races. I mean, he has some unbelievable chances on Saturday. UCLA, Oregon, we get into college football. Hell, we even got a little hockey in the mix. Ducks Wild over in that game. You have to go back to Santa Anita, pick the winner of race 5. Then
I like the over in that game.
Right? Right? That's great.
No idea.
I have no idea. I couldn't name a single player on either team.
Not one. How about this one's fun? Highest win payout at Santa Anita on Saturday, or Barry, we go to the NBA. Is the leading point scorer in the Clippers-Grizzly game going to be higher than that? So are we thinking like Paul George in the 30-point range? John Morant had 37 the other night. You're probably there. Do you get like a 15-1 shot sometime throughout the card at Santa Anita, or is that not likely? USC, Notre Dame. How about the total points in this game? 75.5 LSU.
Yeah, we're going under.
Yeah. That's a big, big total. So a lot of fun as you take a look in at NBA, NHL, college football props, all mixed in with horse racing props. And if you win, you get $1,000. It doesn't cost you a cent to enter. Head on over there right now and take a look. Pick'em.santanita.com. We're going to take a look at race number 6 over at Santa Anita coming up. And we've got a group of Calbreds first level allowance group here, Barry. They're going to go 6 furlongs, just a short field. But in this short field, there does look like there's a pretty good amount of speed.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of keyed in on with my pick, kind of like the small field, big price kind of thing. I like the 5, Smooth Like Butter. I think this race sets up for him as long as he gets the pace to run into. Delta Win looks okay. I know that big gaudy number in the last race is going to attract so much attention, but I don't think that horse should be 4-5, but probably will be. Rain Diva has a lot of speed, so very smart. Last time showed a lot of zip early, so I'm expecting all those horses just to go all out. And if that happens, even a horse like Tizmaster is going to be up close. I think Smooth Like Butter could get a perfect trip here.
I really like one of the true closers in the race, and kind of in handicapping that same sense, Darren. It took me to the 6, Tizmaster. I feel like Tizmaster can sit just off from the outside draw. I don't think Tizza Master is as fast as Delta Wind, Rain Diva, or even someone like So Very Smart. And I think So Very Smart is in a bad spot because she's drawn right in between the two speeds. So she's probably going to get caught up with the two of them. I think all three of them might go. So let's look at Tizza Master, who come off of a long layoff on August the 6th. He had a great start from the she had a great start from the inside, and she sat in a really tough spot. She was like inside, pinned in about a half length behind, which is a really difficult place to be. She's in pretty tight, but she held her ground well. She ended up fending off the heavy favorite that day, the 1-2 favorite. She came back. They stepped her up. She took a shot against First Level Allowance Company in an open race, and she was just in too tough that day. It was a quick turnaround after the long layoff. She probably bounced. The horse who finished second that day came right back to win a stakes race at Los Al with an 88 buyer speed figure. So that race was very, very strong. She was just in too tough that day. Plenty of time to recover. She's drawn well. She drops back in with Calbreds. She cuts back. She likes Santa Anita. I think she sits a really nice trip from the outside when the speeds all go. I'm hoping she's sitting fourth, just a few lengths behind them. And I agree with Barry. Smooth Like Butter is one of the other only ones that you kind of feel, that she will come closing on the dirt. She's not a win machine, but she will at least do that. DZ, how are you approaching this sixth race?
I'm approaching it happy because Only Rewards got in the first race at Keeneland.
Nice, there we go.
Let's go.
Beautiful.
I'm actually taking the opposite approach. I think whoever survives the speed duel between Delta Wind and the one wins the race.
Yep.
I just think they're faster. You take a look back at Rain Diva, draw a line through the last race at going that 1,000 yards. Go back October of last year at Santa Anita. The horse went wire to wire at 6 furlongs with a 77 buyer figure. The horse is gunning. I think the 1 and the 3 are much quicker than the 2. I think Doug O'Neill looks at this race and says, well, we tried to run with Delta Wind last time, and yeah, we ran second, but we got beat by 11 1/4 lengths. So that's not going to work, especially with the 1 to our inside. So they need to come up with a plan B. I think the 3 and the 1 both take off. I think they're 4 or 5 lengths clear of the field. And I really think one of them is going to kick on. I don't have a strong opinion as to which one is going to kick on, which probably makes me lean more heavily on the 1 at the better price. I just think the other horses, Barry's pick is 1 for 19 and, does a lot of work going longer. So I have concerns about her getting there going 6. Your horse, third race back off the layoff, can definitely move forward. I could see Tizza Master getting a good trip and getting involved here. I just think the 2 speeds are too fast, and that Southern California speed, can they burn each other up? Yeah. I think this is one of those races where you just got to find the speed of the speed, and that's going to be the one that wins the race.
Some differing opinions here in race number 6 at Santa Anita for Friday. Before we get into the Santa Anita 7th, I just want to give a shout out to Cindy Carava, full service realtor. I'm sure you know that name. It probably sounds familiar. Cindy is the wife of longtime former trainer out in Southern California, Drac Carava, who is now the agent for Tyler Bays. So shout out to them. Good luck with their team. If you get to Cindy's website, cindycarava.com, you can check out all of her listings, how she can help you as a full service realtor. She can help just kind of connect you with the right people. Maybe you're not looking for a whole new house. You're not looking to move, but maybe you just want to, some home improvement. You need connections with, gardeners, landscapers, painters, those type of people. She knows. She's had them work on her homes, in her own homes. She can help connect you to lenders that can get you set up if you need help with a loan. So cindycarava.com, full service realtor. She'll help you out in many different ways as we try to help you out moving along into race number 7 here. As I'll never lie to you folks. I promise. I promise. Like it'll be a detriment.
You're like Howard Stern right now in Private Parts. I think I just got caught in a lie, but
I'll never lie to you folks. Again. I promise. I promise.
There's only one Stanley Sports, and the grand opening is this weekend.
This isn't the strongest card in far of depth races where you can find a bunch of 5-1 shots. Like this 7th race, I had such a tough time trying to get creative at all in here. I really did, because I looked at this Calbred first level allowance. They're going to be traveling a mile on the turf course. And as we flip to race number 7, DZ, we'll start with you in here. I couldn't really get around Dendera all that much. Like, give me someone else to get excited about, DZ.
I'll get you one to get excited.
Thank
about.
you. Please. I'm glad you have someone. Thank you.
Rose Maddox is going to win
Okay.
the race.
Yes, yes. That's the one I'm on too.
Grayson is a very good turf sire. The dam ran pretty well on turf a couple of times. Goes out for a stable that wins at an extremely high level. Rispoli on board. If you go back and watch the debut, explosive turn of foot to get there from a spot that seemed impossible. Stretching out around 2 turns is no problem. And I understand why Dendera is going to get money. She's dropping out of the race that she's dropping out of. It's not like her speed figures stand out against the rest
that's
of the
what
field.
scares me.
Yeah.
That's always what scares me.
Yeah, it's not like she's dropping out of a grade 1 where she ran like a 75,
No.
Rose Maddox has 1 start, and you could argue it's as good as anything Dendera's run. So for me, I'll take Rose Maddox all day long, single. Thank you. Have a good day.
Rose Maddox, who we are showing you
look at this. Yeah, look at this run. There's a
Not
debut throwing 5.5 furlongs. I mean, look, and the other horse is fighting her. That's not her hanging. That's 2 horses kicking away from the rest of the field together. That's her being a professional and getting her head down and just flat out beating another horse.
That is the number 1 Rose Maddox we're looking at. And Barry, you were getting excited about Rose Maddox. That's where you're going to land in here too?
Absolutely. Yeah. Miotti has 2 in this race, and I would think that he's going to send the 4 out to the lead and try to set it up. If that's the case, I like
same owner, by the way.
Exactly. So they're trying to win this one. So
corner in the market.
Exactly. Little rabbit action going on. So I like the way Rose Maddox finished last time, and I think she's going to be formidable foe for the 2. Not that the 2 is not worthy of favoritism, but 4 to 5 seems a little much.
To get excited about,
Yeah.
That's the problem. And does she fit? Is she the one they'll have to beat? Yeah, because she's shown us that she can go a mile on the turf, and we haven't seen Rose Maddox do that. Right. That's why she's the one to beat. But
4 to 5 seems a little.
Yeah, she was
low.
inside. She was length off. She got put in a tight spot. She did get shuffled back a little bit. She looked like she was done, and then she kind of just started to come on again. It was another one where she kind of ran in spots, and it was a weird trip in between horses. I didn't think she got the best ride, and I'm sure she'll probably get a little bit better of a trip with Pratt aboard, but I mean, she's just not the horse that's going to really get you excited to go to the windows.
Perfect favorite to play against. If she beats you, you don't care.
No,
and she's not a favorite to get excited about. So
exactly.
The more we talk about this race, it's because I don't love the 4. I feel like is probably going to get caught up with the 5, and the 4 I feel like is in here to show speed, like Barry mentioned. And the problem I have with the 5, Distorted Diva won a race in like the worst way you can win a race. Remember that race, Barry?
Yes. Yes.
Agador Spartacus.
Oh my God, it was awful.
But there's no point in my putting shoes on. I never wear shoes because they make me fall down.
They hurt my feet. No thank you for these shoes. As Distorted Diva was in a battle for second, just won that battle for second by a nostril. And ended
up getting put up.
Yeah, to the outside of her, there are 2 other horses going at it. They get involved, and Distorted Diva was the 3rd best horse in that race and ended up getting put up to win. So I don't even know how good she is, honestly. She was not even ever going to win that race. She was definitely 3rd best. She got put up. She probably shows a little bit of speed in here. I mean, she just didn't get involved at all last time. I didn't like the ride. I didn't think she was going to win, but she broke like right on top, and they just grabbed her. And then she just got swallowed up by the field and shuffled back. It was like,
yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, I think you guys have talked me into singling Rose Maddox instead of Dendera.
Do it
in that spot, because it's like I'd much rather play Rose Maddox than Dendera. I can. There's more upside, I feel like, with her. So
by the way, Rose Maddox is now going off at 7 to 5.
7 to 5.
Probably.
Dendera's gonna like float up to like 3 to 1 and jog. You know what I mean? Just, but yeah.
No, but I honestly, I do think they're going to be a lot closer in price than you think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Dendera is going to be like 6 to 5, and Rose Maddox is going to be like 2 to 1.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
That wouldn't shock me at all. 7th race at Santa Anita. We move on to the 8th and final. I just want to show you one more thing before we finish up. And this cause is awesome. This is something that I'm really excited to share with you because I've just been informed about it over the last couple days. I'm talking about a Folds of Honor fundraiser that's going to be happening at Santa Anita this week. Now, let me show you the website for Folds of Honor. This is a company an organization that provides scholarships to spouses and children of America's fallen and disabled service members. Like, this is an organization that it does some incredible work. And this weekend, there's going to be a big poker tournament at Santa Anita benefiting Folds of Honor on October the 23rd from 5 to 10:30. For a $300 donation buy-in, you get a full night of No Limit Hold'em. You get a full day at the track. You get drink tickets, food station, silent auction, challenge coins. You get drink tickets. If you just want to go and hang out, you can go to the event for $50 if you don't want to play, or if you just want to donate, you can go to the website and make a donation. Silent auction. They have Lakers Clippers tickets, Kings tickets, Chargers tickets, Vikings Chargers. You can sit with Doug O'Neill in the suite, Angels autograph ball, private poker game, Fred Stone painting, signed John Elway football, Marcus Allen signed football, and then a mall gift certificate. Those are some of the prizes in that silent auction. A really great cause, Folds of Honor. Check that out this weekend. If you're in the Santa Anita area, please head on over there and get involved, because I know they're really excited and they really want to push the fundraiser this week for this great organization. So Folds of Honor, head on over there as we head on over to the 8th race at Santa Anita for the final race on the card today. We get to an optional 25 group. We're going to be going a mile on the dirt course here. We'll start with you, DZ. How do you want to close out the card at Santa Anita on Friday?
Yeah, this for me was a bit of a spread scenario. I understand why Brittle and You is favored. The 1 for 13 kind of scares me, though. I don't have a strong opinion about who I like the most, but I do like the 3 runners to her inside. Bossy Soul, who was claimed 2 starts back, ran against Tougher last time out and should step forward. The 3 horse for Jonathan Wong was coming back for the $25,000 level, has run 4 consecutive strong efforts and puts the blinkers on, which is a huge move for Wong, 32% first-time blinkers. And the 4 Naughty Evelyn, who's probably the speed of the speed and just ran off the screen and is certainly a threat that could potentially do that again with Umberto Rispoli. So, yeah, I mean, I see what's to like about Brittle and You. I get the angles with her, but this is a 1 for 13 type of angle that in most cases I'm going to try to beat. And I think I like the 3 to her inside.
Yeah, I'm right with you too. Andrew mentioned Paul Cinella, who he likes himself. The lack of speed is a little bit of a concern for me with Paul Cinella. And so that's why I'll kind of cover my bases and use Naughty Evelyn as well. So if Naughty Evelyn gets away, I think if she shows that kind of speed and clears, she could be pretty tough. If for some reason she does get softened up by a horse like Soul Sweet or Beirut Beauty or someone else, I prefer Paul Cinella to Brittle and You. I think there's maybe a little more upside here with Paul Cinella than with Brittle and You at this point. How are you going to finish things out, Barry?
Well, I liked Paul Cinella until Andrew picked him.
Yep, again. Right.
So I had to go elsewhere, and I ended up on the 7 Beirut Beauty. Nice. I just think that horse has a lot of potential to be able to stretch out. I mean, this isn't like the greatest race in the world, so coming off that win, I think the horse can actually progress by stretching out. Shawish is the sire, Street Cry Dam has potential to be able to stretch out.
Group, right?
Right. It doesn't have to be great, just good enough and still beat this field. Stretching out. His last race wasn't that bad. And worth a shot, especially at somebody that's not going to be bet all that heavily. Probably going to be less than the 6-1, but not outrageously short.
That is that's Santa Anita for today, for Friday. Keeneland was a lot better than the Santa Anita card that we went through today. The last couple of weeks, Santa Anita's Fridays have been really good, but today a little bit chalky. Hopefully we can beat 1 or 2 of those favorites. Before we get out of here, don't forget, Stable Duel. The contests for Friday at Keeneland are already underway, but you can get involved in those contests at Santa Anita today. There is a $20 game. There's also a $100 double up. You enter for $100. You finish in the top 40. You double your money up, and that $20 game has an $800 pool. So if you're handicapping, or maybe you just flip this on and now you're going to look at some of the Santa Anita races for today, get involved at StableDuel.com. Download the app and make sure to get your entries in and play, race, win. Thank you to everyone for retweeting. I want to announce the 3 winners of the free $20 win wager. All you have to do is reach out to me. I'll be on Twitter. I have my DMs open. You can slide right into those DMs if you want, and I'll put a few win wagers down for you. Shout out to at Mitchell Newquist. So Mitchell Newquist at Mitchell NEWQUI1 on Twitter. You get a 20 win wager on anyone you want today at Keeneland, at Santa Anita. Reach out to me. Joe McDowell. Awesome. Joe, I'm glad you won this one. I have the randomizer thing. Joe is someone who always follows along.
Joe. Yeah, Joe's a supporter, man.
Yeah, Joe is like one of the bigger that's what G said supporters. So, Joe, I'm very happy we picked you on this one. Hopefully you could turn that 20 into more. And then final one was Nick. We had Mr. Guru Nick. Awesome, Nick. Cool. You got the other 20. So 3 of them. Mitchell, Joe, and Mr. Guru Nick. I'll be in contact with you. We'll work out who you want to make your win wagers on. If you want to get a little bit more information later about that Santa Anita Pick'em contest, because you didn't have me for 2 hours and 15 minutes already, I'm going to do a live stream at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific time, where the Wolf of Oaklawn, Chase Sessoms, joins me, and we go prop by prop. We showed you the contest there. We're going to go through each of the 12 props and share who we like in the races, who we like in the games, and some of our handicapping angles, just in case you need a little help putting yours together. I can promise you, when it comes to the NHL, you ain't going to get much from me in that standpoint. I only open my mouth when it's things I at least think I know what I'm talking about. So that's where I steer in that direction. DZ, my man, thank you so much. This has been such a blast. I've been getting great feedback. The numbers have been doing really well. You've had some really good success.
He's been on fire. He's on fire.
I hope your horse runs awesome today. I hope the success continues throughout the weekend and on to next week. So good luck to you. Good luck to Thorough Crowd. And don't forget about those Twin Spires promos, those bet backs.
Yep, absolutely. They get underway. In fact, I think we got one coming up in the second race today. So definitely get involved. Races 2, 6, and 8, I think, are the races today, and 7 and 9 tomorrow at Keeneland.
And Barry, let's talk for a second about Big Mondays and going in circles. You and I and Chuck were all passionately debating
Lakers.
Basketball. We were passionately talking about the Lakers and Kuzma and Caruso and Westbrook and KCP and back and forth. I love the passion that you have and that Chuck has also. And you guys team up together for a show that's going in circles. Give us the plugs on that.
Yeah, it's Go in Circles podcast. We do it our specific show is every Monday. Chuck does some shows during the week with other industry people, trying to get the word out there on some issues and things. We're not just strictly making picks. We talk about and discuss a lot of things going on in the industry, all things sports sometimes as well. We throw a little NBA, some football in there. So we kind of want to hit it all and want to get people involved. So if any feedback or anything, you can always hit us up on Twitter, even email the show and we'll get back to you. We love the feedback. We love to talk to people about all things horse racing and definitely throwing some sports in there too. But, we just want to be good ambassadors for the sport, get the word out, and maybe get things going in the right direction. But yeah, it's really fun. We got a lot of good feedback from people, the feedback that we do get. So yeah, hopefully we can kind of expand a little bit, get those little videos and stuff out there, and things are looking up.
Always
trying
great.
to get on the Gino page.
Oh, hey, there'll be always great content out there. I'm always very lucky to have you guys joining me. And can you believe we're only 2 weeks away from the Breeders' Cup? 2 weeks away.
Oh man, can't wait.
That's crazy. So next week we will have our final one of these live streams on Friday morning. We'll do the same sort of thing. We'll go through the final 5 races for Keeneland. We'll go through the final 5 races for Santa Anita. We'll have some different guests that pop in to say hello. And then the following Friday, we won't have a show. That's going to be Breeders' Cup Friday. But I will tell you that both of these gentlemen will join me on That's What G Said podcast earlier in the week to preview a race for Breeders' Cup.
Just don't give me the filly and mare sprint, please.
Okay. No, I promise you, since you both are on here, no gamine for either one of you two.
Please.
I promise.
Please.
And,
there's like 4 horses in the race right now. Please.
That's one of my favorite shows of the year because I get a guest for every race. So you will get like 15 different handicappers, and you'll get to hear a whole bunch of different perspectives, how people handicap. And it's so much fun for me to talk to a bunch of my friends and pick all their brains leading in. I just absolutely love it. I'm already starting to set that show up a couple weeks out and sort of put the schedule together. So keep an eye out for that. That's on That's What G Said. And one more time, a big thank you to dailyracingform.com. They make this show so much better, giving us the opportunity to use those past performances. Head to drf.com if you need to get any extra help for your wagering. And a little bit of a tease, next week, we're even going to start talking about DRF Sports, which DRF, that same great coverage from horse racing, they are expanding into sports. So a little bit of a teaser for you as we're going to touch base with someone from DRF Sports and talk about their new expansions over there. Folks, I said 90 minutes. We went almost 2.5 hours. That's always going to happen with me because I just keep talking and talking. And Darren and Barry are my good friends. We could sit here and BS with each other for 5 hours if we could. You boys have a great Friday. I look forward to talking to you again next week. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gino. Good luck.
All right. Thanks, man.
Good luck
See ya.
out there, everyone.